Today, we are going to tell you about the 2 weeks we spent with the masterminds, the geniuses behind Nintendo Switch.
You want to know a great way to get to know what makes Nintendo tick and what made Nintendo Switch the Nintendo Switch? Spend 2 weeks on the road with these guys.
That's true.
You'll find out real fast.
You'll find out real fast. I think this is one of my most favorite developer things that I've done in my entire career at Nintendo. It was such a memorable trip, and it was so interesting to just kind of get the osmosis of, you know, how they came up with this thing and what they were thinking and what was like sort of the inspirations behind Nintendo Switch. Like, you can't really get that sense anywhere else unless you just spend time with the people that made it. So
that's right.
It's really cool. Yeah.
We've heard the people out there saying, yep, great to break down the Switch 2 news, but where's the story time? Well, here it is.
Here it is.
Addressing the controversy.
What controversy?
Of story time. Well, here it is.
Oh, the controversy of story time.
What happened at story time? I'm banging the table.
We have so many story times, honestly. But yes, it's been an exciting couple of weeks talking about Switch 2, obviously, and sharing in the excitement. I mean, this story time is about Nintendo Switch, but I do think it's interesting to think about it and think about who, you know, is working on Switch 2, what inspirations, what are they carrying over from the philosophy of Nintendo Switch. And yeah, and Nintendo is in a very different place now. Like, we haven't really seen much of the developers for a long time beyond those like ask the developer things. So will we see more of them? Will we never see them again?
Where is Doug Bowser? How long has it been since anybody's seen Doug Bowser?
Blink 3 times if you are under duress. Doug Bowser did a tweet today
that had no text at all. It was simply an image of the sales results. So the personalized text has been removed. You will now just post screenshots that we will provide to you. Thank you very much.
Doug, blink if you're in duress. We'll come rescue you. Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
Oh, no.
Well, we're going to get into that great story in just a moment, but we did want to say that we put out our long-awaited, big 2025 updates video talking about some cool stuff we got coming soon.
Yeah, it was really fun for us to kind of share with you what we're thinking about doing this year. And this is an extra special year, obviously, because it's a big hardware year, and we want to share that excitement with all of you guys, and we want to make it feel extra special. So we have made a whole video talking about what we're doing. We are adding cool new...
More stuff. That's the takeaway.
Yes, some stuff that we are really excited about. A new series that we're going to be excited to kick off that's really different from what we do right now. We're going to be playing more games together. It's just going to be a great year.
Yes, so watch the video because there's a lot of little details in there, and we break down 2024 and talk about some other things. But two big new initiatives that we want to talk about.
Initiatives.
Initiatives, here they come.
Wow.
We have been, I think over the last year, kind of trying to find the right way for us to do gameplay videos. You know, we tried streaming, and we had a complete technical collapse in that other room where we do streaming. That was unfortunate. So it's like, maybe streaming's not the way to go.
Yeah.
You know, we put some of them just on YouTube pre-recorded. We're going to start putting these exclusively on Patreon.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yes, there are some that just have, you know, broad appeal, and this is what YouTube wants. YouTube wants what's the most broad appealing thing you have, and we will draw the people to that. So it's like, yeah, the new Nintendo release will we'll bring those people in and, you know, keep good things happening with our channel. But there's a lot of other games that we want to play that we feel kind of within the constraints of the YouTube algorithm.
Yes.
It's like kind of hard for us to do.
Yeah.
So we're talking about some retro games, indie games, games that are under the radar that we want to put a spotlight on, that people should be thinking about and talking more about. And that's something that's nice about Patreon, and that's the first thing they'll tell you. Is like, we're algorithm free. You know, if you have people who are following you there, we will show it to them. So that's great. So we have already started. These are going to be exclusively on Patreon. The first 2 are already up. We're playing Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, some co-op of that.
That's really fun.
And then we're playing great case in point. Ruffy in the Riverside, what we think is going to be kind of a breakout indie game of the year, but is still kind of finding its footing. We got early access to the demo for that. We're going to talk about that game later in the games we're playing. But those 2 are out. We're going to aim to do at least 2 of these a month. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. We never wanted to become a game channel that doesn't have that don't play games. That was something that
don't play games.
That don't play the games. That was something that was really important to us. Is like we have to find more ways to play more games and play more games together too. That's something that we kind of missed last year, is playing more co-op games, playing more multiplayer games together. And we just never found a good solution to how to do that and still keep our channel healthy. But this is a great way for us to continue to give back to the very people that are keeping this whole thing alive, which is our wonderful Patreon family. It's a very interactive experience as well. We want this to be like, the community might have a suggestion of things they want us to play, and we'll absolutely
the community
do that.
has spoken.
They want mischief
makers. Get on with the mischief makers already.
That's the thing. That's exactly the point. Is like if we put a video on YouTube of us playing
in 2025
of us playing mischief makers, that video will tank. We will get like 10 views.
And the way YouTube works, that could potentially impact future videos that you post after that as well, which is unfortunate truth of how YouTube works.
Yeah, exactly. The videos that perform poorly will affect your next few videos, which is really it's really annoying. So guess what? These are the people that are going to be getting this on Patreon. And if you're in our notification squad, you can get access to these. We also have them in our Patreon shop.
It's the exact same way that we approach our spoiler casts. Yes.
Yeah.
They're all going to be at least around an hour long, so pretty long, settle in, kind of uncut gameplay of us.
Right.
And we've got another one recorded and pretty much ready to go too. So we're banking these up.
We're excited about these. We'll play games.
The other thing is a new video series that's called Nintendo Explained.
Yes, we're really excited about this one. This is going to be a whole new type of content from us. Like I think you guys are used to very like unscripted, kind of conversational. It's just you and I kind of chatting about the latest.
Bickering,
bantering. You annoying me slapping you, whatever. All those things. This is going to be more of a documentary style. We are going to lightly script these. I know we don't do scripted
Is Sir
videos.
David Attenborough going to be joining us to do the VO then?
Yes. Of course. You're fired.
Oh,
He's going to be taking over your job.
Okay.
I think it's going to be really fun for us to dig into this series. This is aimed to be sort of a series where we explain like big Nintendo philosophies, what is at the root of the DNA of this like very unique company. There's a lot of like themes and things like that we haven't been able to talk about in this way.
Right.
We have story times that sort of are examples of what's going on inside Nintendo, but these are like big thematics of what makes this company tick.
They're examples of these big picture ideas in action. But within a podcast, we never really stop and say, and this relates back to this, which is this big overriding philosophy that the company has. So we just want to take it, some time through these videos to be very clear, very specific, and we'll still use some examples to bring them to life. But it's not going to be focused on a single story.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think it's going to be really fun for us to dig into this. Nintendo has such a rich history, and they've really honed their DNA over quite literally hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And we were, really living and breathing that while we were inside the company. And I don't think there's really a place that exists that shares this kind of, this type of history.
Not in the same way.
Yeah, this type of sort of explanation behind what makes Nintendo. So we're going to do that, and we're going to challenge ourselves, creatively and production-wise by making it feel really, really different than our typical content. So we're really excited about it. It's going to be fun.
Those are not launching yet.
No, we have to work on them still.
Those are in progress. Those are being worked on. We want them to be really great and perfect. So we will let you know when.
Yes.
But it ain't today.
It's not today, yes, but it's definitely this year.
Yes.
And again, in terms of our Patreon family, we're going to be giving them early access to these.
Correct.
We're going to give them, an opportunity to tell us what video to do next in the series. Like if there's particular topics or themes that they're really excited to learn more about in this format, then we will do those.
Yes.
So yeah, it's going to be really fun, interactive experience.
Spoiler cast, Metroid Prime Spoiler Cast is out
Yeah.
now. Check that out. This is going to be a big
January
year for
Spoiler
Metroid
Cast.
Prime. Get in the mood for that. And then as part of that, the last question that we asked ourselves in that Spoiler Cast is, which game do we think is better now, Metroid Prime or Super Metroid? And we concluded we can't answer that without doing a fresh playthrough of Super Metroid. So guess what? That's the February spoiler cast.
There you go.
Super Metroid. Bam.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. I'm glad that we're going to be playing these games back to back, honestly, because I've never actually done that. Play a 3D and then a 2D Metroid game back to back, and two like absolute classics in the genre of Metroid, you know, the franchise of Metroid. So yes, I think after we play Super Metroid, we can definitely answer the question.
Finally,
at least for
we
ourselves.
can definitively say.
For science, we can answer the question.
I did that exact same thing in 2021 after Metroid Dread came out, and after I finished that, I had the same thought. I was like, well, how does this stack up? And then I need to replay it because it's been a couple years, and it's not as fresh in my mind as I would want. So so interesting that that's the game that is like the measuring stick for all these other ones.
But this is an even more interesting comparison because you're going. Metroid Dread was a 2D Metroid game, so you're going from 3D Metroid with Metroid Prime to 2D Metroid, and like really thinking about what does feel like the definitive like representation or like treatment of this series. Yes. So yes, I can't wait to dig into it. We've already started playing Super Metroid. It still hits. This game is just so good.
That might just be that third gameplay video that we were hinting at. We may have just played some Super Metroid yesterday for an upcoming video. So there you have it.
Exciting stuff.
All right, let's get into this great big story that you have planned. But first, we have to shout out our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by HelloFresh.
Thank you.
With HelloFresh, get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Going out to eat is great. It's like, all right, I'm gonna. I don't have to do it, but it's deciding on a restaurant, if you're doing it day after day, again and again, it's like it can get to be a grind, especially if you're going with somebody else. What do you want? I don't know. What do you? Whatever you like. Forget that. Enough of that. That stinks.
Also, it's really unhealthy and it's really expensive.
True.
So you really shouldn't be eating out or ordering delivery every day because it's not very good for you, and also probably not very good for your bank account.
No.
So that's why I felt HelloFresh is such a great option. I have been avoiding leaving my house because it's been raining like crazy here. It was raining like so hard this morning.
Cats and dogs, would you say?
Cats and dogs, as they say. So it's so nice that I didn't have to go to the grocery store this weekend. I just got the HelloFresh stuff delivered and put together these meals. It was so easy to do. I made these really good pork tacos this week. And I made it in my cast iron pan, and it legit smelled like
Sounds
fajitas
good.
in like a like in a cast iron. Oh my gosh, it was so good. It was like better than any restaurant, honestly. And I could be cozy in my house with my pajamas on eating my pork.
That's great. They have 50 hassle-free meals that you can choose from, rotating those out all the time. They have some new stuff too. They have these ready-made meals that just go from the fridge into your mouth in 3 minutes.
Wow.
That's fast and easy. And then they also have prep and bake meals. This is also new. Comes together in 5 minutes of prep, and then it goes straight into the oven.
That's a great idea.
If you don't want to spend too much time doing this and that, that's a great option there. And then they also have 15-minute meals. So they're really breaking it down to like how much time do you want to put into this before you are ready to eat. They've got all sorts of solutions there. So that is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you can get up to 10 free meals and a free high-protein item for life at HelloFresh.com/KitKrysta10FM. 1 item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/KitKrysta10FM.
We'll put the link right over here with a QR code that's easy for you to scan, and also in the description below.
Wow.
Wow. Thanks, HelloFresh.
All right. This is going to be a Krysta-led story time.
I know. I just
I
realized
wasn't there.
You weren't there.
No, I was doing something else.
This is like a rare thing that happened to us around this launch, the Switch launch, where I was the hardware. I was like the marketing lead for Switch hardware. And then you were the lead for Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
And because that game was a launch title, we were both really, really busy, but doing kind of different things.
Split up and
we
did our own
got
thing.
split up,
Yeah.
which is rare and a little scary.
Oh no!
I was a little scared.
How did you make it through?
I don't know. You did make me mad, which we'll tell.
Oh, I did. I did make you mad.
You made me mad. But yes, so this was right when the Nintendo Switch was about to come out. We had done the big sort of January preview event in New York, which we've told the story of, and did a whole bunch of stuff like kind of sharing all the details about Nintendo Switch and the games that are coming out, and everybody got to play and everything. And then in February, which was a month later, Mr. Koizumi and Mr. Takahashi both came out to the US, and then after the US they went to Europe. So they were on like this world tour right before Nintendo Switch came out in March. And it was really interesting, at that point we had been working at Nintendo for quite a long time, and we had definitely worked a lot with developers already. Like usually the sort of the habit or like the process. The usual thing that happens is these developers will come out around E3 time, and that was kind of our big opportunity every year at E3 to do stuff with the developers, whether it's stuff on social media or big interviews. There were some rare occasions when the developers will come out for the launch of like a really big game. Like Mr. Aonuma definitely came out for big Zelda releases, but developers coming out not during like an E3 time was pretty rare. And it was one of those things where it's like, well, you can see how important this launch was to Nintendo if they're like basically like sending out the people that are extremely important and busy leading up to the launch of this like huge hardware thing and letting them go on this like world tour to talk about this thing. Like that, you can tell right away, like, yeah, this is really important to them. It was important to them for people to hear straight from the creators of the system, like why it's so unique and special. And they were like very aggressive about like, yes, you guys, on the marketing side need to like utilize these developers to the fullest to tell that story of Switch and get that like message out there. And this was like that really crazy run up from January to March. It was like one of the big activities of the time.
Yeah, the process of requesting developers to do something or to travel was interesting because you would write a proposal and we would send it through our usual contacts within the Japan communications or marketing coordination teams, and then they would send it off through the dev teams. And ultimately it was Mr. Takahashi who would make the decision of, because he's the big boss. He oversees all the development. It's like, well, am I okay with this developer going on this trip for these reasons? And we knew not to ask often for this. This was a major request for them to take time away from making games to come do this.
Right.
So we would be careful about doing it. But there were times where you would get kind of a hint of like, oh, so and so might be open to a proposal to come, which means they want to come. Make the proposal.
A lot of times it was around like GDC too.
Yeah,
it's like, people are like, oh, I want to speak.
Right.
I have something to say. I have something to say. Yeah, and it's like, okay, then they would come. This was a really rare incident where they made the proposal to us.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever happened to me before.
Yeah, that's very rare.
Yeah, and it was almost like not a proposal. It was like, you're doing this.
You're doing it.
And
here's what we want to do.
Get ready. You're kind of going to be at our beck and call for 2 weeks. And I was like, guess I'm doing it. What do you say, right? So it was really rare. Like usually we're like fighting to like, and like putting together the world's most comprehensive proposal, like you said, with like all of the strategy of why this is worth their time and why they should let us take time away from their busy development schedule to come and do this, and why this is good for the game, yada yada. Like this time it was pretty much like, no, we want to come. We have a story that we want to tell. We have like specific kind of activity that we have in mind, but also, and this is the best, coolest thing you want to hear from them is like, we are open to anything you suggest. And I was like, really?
Great. Carte blanche.
Carte blanche, exactly. And again, that's very rare. And, you really like don't get those opportunities very often. Thinking like, oh, wow, like what can I propose that's really out of the box, that's a little bit out of the ordinary, because they're very willing to like experiment and do things. And I think it all stems back to this whole like, the Switch launch was sort of the mindset at Nintendo during the Switch launch is like, we're coming off, sort of a downtime with Wii U. We're ready to launch this new thing. We had a great start with the 2016 reveal trailer that got everyone talking about this like cool new system. And then we came off this really positive event in January where everybody got to play all the games. And it was like shaping up to be a huge hit. And as we know now, it is a huge hit. So really the mindset was like, put your foot on the gas and like go. Use the opportunity. We're open to everything. Spend the money, Super Bowl ads. We're going to do it. We're going to send the developers out like on a world tour. We're just going to like really be very aggressive about getting out there for this, which was, again, like such a 180 from when we were like very meek and quiet during the Wii U days because the company wasn't doing well. We kind of like hunkered down to work on some other stuff and we were waiting for, I think everybody was sort of waiting for this moment. So it was cool. It was a cool, exciting time. And again, you just got that sense where like you could kind of propose or suggest anything within reason. Of course, you have to have like strategy and reasons as to why you want to do it. But like for once, they seem so open to new ideas and things like that. So that was cool. That was like a very, welcome kind of mindset to be a part of.
And just the month before, we had Mr. Miyamoto and Mr. Aonuma in New York for that event.
Yes.
So like we were just in hog heaven with all these developers being
true.
available, after some, we sometimes would have very long droughts of, this developer's heads down or they don't have the time or it's just not going to work. So it felt very luxurious to be able to utilize the actual developers and the best developers that we had.
Yeah, exactly.
In this way. So we should say, Mr. Takahashi is in charge of all the development. Mr. Koizumi, he was kind of the lead of Nintendo Switch, the whole project.
Right.
Hardware. He obviously was very involved in Super Mario Odyssey. Previously, Mr. Iguchi was the lead for the Wii U. Kind of an unfortunate mark on his resume.
Yeah, that's
but
okay. He tried his best.
I have to imagine that it seems logical to have Mr. Koizumi continue on in this role for the Switch 2, since it is an evolutionary step and since it went so well the first time and since he did such a masterful job with it there. But that's a big, hard job to consider. You're working on a huge software title. You're kind of the head of this studio in Tokyo. And I'm also in charge of the whole darn system.
Yeah.
That's a big job.
That's actually the other thing that makes Mr. Koizumi a bit different is that he doesn't work 100% out of the Kyoto office where the rest of the developers are. And, you are in a different environment. So we should say that Mr. Koizumi, if you guys didn't know, works at EAD Tokyo, which is obviously in a completely different city from the Kyoto headquarters. And I think that the vibe there is just different.
Yeah.
It is like a much sort of more, it's a smaller office. There's a smaller team that works there. They work on all the 3D Mario games there, which is why Mr. Koizumi was also very closely working on Mario Odyssey in that year. But I get the sense that like Kyoto, is a little bit more like quiet and a little bit more serious at times and very buttoned up, and they have very like sort of, they're rooted in this tradition of like making these games in Kyoto. But in Tokyo, my sense is that it's a little bit more like almost like startup-y feeling somehow. Like it has like that kind of like scrappiness to it. And that's the team that he leads.
Right.
And when spending all that time with him, like I did get that sense. Like it just, his mindset was very different than a Mr. Miyamoto or a Mr. Aonuma.
Right.
When it comes to philosophies around hardware, Nintendo Switch hardware, and also like game development in general. they kind of felt like almost like rebels.
Yeah, I mean that's why we always
Yeah.
say like he probably has a very high ceiling as far as like what he could achieve in the company
Yeah.
in the future, because yes, he's got all this incredible history making games, but now he has these really big like project management roles
Yeah,
almost,
totally.
and like making hard decisions. It's like
Yeah.
like he could be the next Mr. Miyamoto.
Yeah.
He could be the next Mr. Iwata. Like the sky's the limit for what he can
he's
achieve.
got a really interesting like mindset where he definitely has like a sense, kind of that sense of Mr. Iwata, where like he's rooted in being a game developer, so he understands like the nitty gritty, like down and dirty parts of what it takes to make like an amazing game. But you need to have like a bigger vision too, to do like to really understand like company philosophy, hardware philosophy, like your audience, who you're marketing to. Like he has that kind of genius mindset. When I was getting to know him and really kind of getting to know how he thinks about things, like that was sort of the sense that I got. He's one of my favorite people like ever, by the way, so I'm like a huge fan of Mr. Koizumi, and I was so grateful that I got a chance to really like spend all that one-on-one time with him, because I feel like, maybe he doesn't reciprocate this, but I feel like we got to be some good friends.
Oh.
And I think he's just wonderful. Anyhow, so this was a different kind of thing altogether, right? Because again, Nintendo was like, you guys take these developers, do what you will with them. We want to like get them out there. Especially what they really wanted to do, which was, I was like, okay, was they really wanted to do a lot of stuff around 1-2 Switch, which I know, yes, it is not like the most sexy game. Obviously, Breath of the Wild was a sexy game to showcase like the launch of a system.
I mean, it is fair, because we had all these other things happening for Breath of the Wild too, that that dev team was very involved in.
Yeah.
And this is also always the thing that happens, is like when there's a group of games, the one that kind of feels like it's falling behind, there's always this like, well, what can we do to help? How can we help 1-2 Switch?
And also,
there's this disproportionate amount of effort that's put on the poor game that's lagging behind.
I know, it's true. It's like, how do we make this like into a darling when it was like the ugly redheaded stepchild, as they say? But the other thing about it is that like they really did want like 1-2 Switch to be like the Wii Sports of Nintendo Switch, right? It's like, this is the game that's supposed to showcase like some of the cool little things that we put into this system, especially the Joy-Con obviously was like the hero. Especially for Mr. Koizumi, like he was like obsessed with the Joy-Con, as he should be, because there's so much like stuff, technology, like innovation packed into this tiny little thing, and I think he was like really proud of that. Again, as he should be. Yes, some of those things that we've made fun of a little bit and said they were like a little bit gimmicky, and yes, we saw it during 1-2 Switch, and then we never saw it again. But it is part of the sort of the history and the DNA of Nintendo Switch, and at the time of launch, like it was really important for them to like show you all the little things, around it. So that was why like they were really obsessed. They were like, we need to get 1-2 Switch out there. We got to showcase 1-2 Switch in these fun, weird ways. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So when they came to the States, they did basically like a cross-country tour. So they started in San Francisco, which was perfect because we were working still out of the Redwood City, Bay Area office at the time. So we had a little bit of a home base there, and we had all of these activities planned for them to do in the Bay Area. One of them was they really wanted to go around San Francisco as like almost like tourists. I think they wanted to see San Francisco, first of all, which is fine. Happy to show them beautiful San Francisco. But they also wanted to like, have this whole concept of like, let's play 1-2 Switch in these unexpected places, which again was like another big theme for Switch. Like later on for the launch event, you guys remember the story
and
that
the
we
John
told
Cena
with John Cena, and the whole theme was like Switch and play and unexpected places, and we had those glass living rooms.
Right.
Like that was his idea. Okay, so he had wanted to do this with 1-2 Switch, and when we went to plan the launch event for Switch in March, I was like, well, why don't we just take that theme and do it again here, but do it like in a more visual way. So honestly, I can't take credit for that idea because it was Mr. Koizumi's idea. So there we go. Give him due credit. So yeah, we have like photos of them in front of these iconic San Francisco landmarks like the Golden Gate Bridge, and they're playing 1-2 Switch, and it's like those like stock photos where you're doing like the Wizard, or remember that stupid game, the Wizard, where you just look so silly.
I sure do.
The sword fighting, or the
quick draw.
Quick draw. Yeah, they wanted to do that, and it was just fun. This was like pre-Koizumi Takahashi, or like early days of Koizumi Takahashi Nintendo Directs too.
Yeah.
So I was getting a sense, like a bit of a window into their relationship as well, and like he's his boss.
How would you describe it?
I thought it was interesting, like definitely.
Oh no.
Mr. Takahashi is definitely more serious.
Yes.
And he's definitely the boss.
He's a pretty straight-laced guy.
He is a little bit intimidating.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say he's very intimidating. And I was definitely like scared of him. I didn't want to like make him mad.
Yeah.
I knew he was very he was down to do the stuff.
Right.
Like he was down to play quick draw in front of the Golden Gate Bridge, but he also was very like, let's like
stick to the schedule.
Stick to the schedule. No, let's not have any
what
like,
are we doing here?
Yeah, no, like extra fluffy whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's
down
very
to business. Yes,
exactly, very down to business. Mr. Koizumi is very playful, and like, again, he's kind of a rebel. Like from my opinion is like he's very like he's kind of like he wants to like have fun, and he like kind of pushes the boundaries a little bit of stuff sometimes, and I think that like. I don't think it like bugged Mr. Takahashi or anything like that, but it definitely was different than his personality. It was like, well, where'd he go? Did he run off somewhere to do something? Do you lose track of him again, Krysta? I'm like, I don't know. He's a grown man. I can't keep track of everyone. And by the way, the other thing about this is really funny is like, there was a whole entourage, right? With us.
There always is. I can only imagine for this one.
We were rolling so deep everywhere. It was like, oh my gosh, like how do we get 20 people? Like how do we jam?
So who are the types
people?
of people who would accompany this kind of trip?
Yeah, so obviously the devs were there. We had people from Treehouse.
Translators.
Yeah. Bill Trinan was on this trip.
Okay.
So he was a very helpful person to help manage some of that.
Manage it,
he had a lot of authority as well.
Sure.
And if someone needed to say something, he could do it.
Right.
Like he can tell Mr. Takahashi, stand over there. And he speaks Japanese, obviously. That's helpful. Translators. There was just like also like general like hangers on from NCL.
Yeah.
Ironically, this person was from NCL, but he kind of got like roped into becoming this unofficial translator between Mr. Koizumi and me. This person was awesome.
Yes.
Like again, I became like very close to this person because he would be on these trips with Mr. Koizumi for like the rest of that year. Like later on, we did TGAs together. All the Odyssey stuff together. So I got to know this person really, really well.
I would just say like he's Mr. Takahashi's right-hand man.
He was so cool.
What do you need done? I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was so cool though.
He's great.
He was great. Yeah. And he spoke like, I think he used to live in the US.
I think so.
So it was very easy for me to like connect with him.
Right.
But I do remember like there were some like weird moments where it was like me, the unofficial translator / Mr. Koizumi's right-hand man, and Mr. Koizumi. And Mr. Koizumi and I would be having this like one-on-one conversation. And this poor person would just be like translating. And I felt kind of bad. Like I would be like, get it, join the conversation.
Yeah.
But like he was so busy like translating between the two of us that I felt like, does he feel like taken advantage of in this situation? Like he's not really a translator. Like does he feel bad? Anyhow, so yeah, we were rolling really deep, going around San Francisco, taking these photos with Mr. Koizumi and Mr. Takahashi, which was fun. And we had this like giant Sprinter van that was like going around the city.
Imagine.
It was insanity. Yeah. That was the day where I got really upset with you. Tell the people what you did to me that made me upset.
At that point, we were starting to get actual retail hardware and in limited numbers. So you needed to have like a business justification to get one.
Yeah.
And we were able to get one for our department. It was like a multi-purpose unit. So you were like, well, we need to take this on the tour, but at the same time, you and I were also prepping for a big Nintendo Minute video for Breath of the Wild. So
you had to like play
it was like,
the
well,
game.
I'll take it home and I will play to the certain point that we're supposed to get to do the video, and I will give it to you in the morning before you go off. Mm-hmm. for whatever reason, I was a tad late that day. And you know me, I hate being late. So there must
You're
have,
never late, yeah.
So there must have been a great reason. And this was as mad as I've ever seen you.
I was panicked.
At me because again, it's like Mr. Takahashi's tapping his toe in the limousine or something outside. He's ready to go. So I get it. I apologize. I'm sorry, but you were very upset with me.
I was really scared of him. Kind of still am, honestly.
Very effective boss, I guess.
He's very effective. I don't know if ruling by fear is the best way to go.
Power.
But he had the power. Yes, I was very scared. And I remember I was getting like bombarded with text messages from Bill Trinan.
Oh, no.
Who was like, where are you?
We gotta go.
We gotta go. We're all waiting for you. Where are you? And I was like, oh my God, where are you? Where are you? I gotta go. They're waiting for me. And then, yes, it was a whole thing. I think we were only, honestly, we were like 5 minutes late. It wasn't like we were like hours late. It was literally
It feels like hours.
But I felt like my life was over.
No, I get it.
I was like, I'm getting fired. This is it. I'm gonna get like pushed out the van on the Golden Gate Bridge into the bay. I go, kerploosh. Like it's gonna be bad.
Hey, that's my line. Kerploosh.
Anyhow, so we did a whole day of taking that one Switch that we had to share with like 25 people. Could have given us one more Switch, honestly.
Seriously.
Nintendo, come on. The person that made the Switch was there. You could have given him one.
Very hard to get this hardware.
Honestly, that was really like that was kind of messed up. I should be mad at Nintendo, not at you.
That's right.
So we went around San Francisco, did a big whole day there, touring around the city, taking photos. The next day, we had this really cool thing planned with IGN. At that time, their offices were also in San Francisco, so that was easy for us to kind of go down there and do all the stuff there. And I was really surprised. Usually, like, if we suggest kind of, media interviews or any activity with developers and media, they really want it to be like, well, they're going to interview us. We need questions beforehand. Yeah. We need to really like vet these questions. We will like you will write the answers that we will say, and we will like review. But the IGN proposal was so unique. They at this time in 2017, they had just launched their Snapchat.
Oh.
And their proposal to us was, hey, would you guys be interested into letting your developers come and do a bunch of skits on our Snapchat?
All right.
And I was like, there is no way they're going to say yes. This is ridiculous. But I proposed it. I was like, this is pretty cool. Like to be sort of in the launch batch of content for like this huge thing that IGN was doing. Like this could be kind of neat.
And IGN does well on social media. Like they have big followings. Some of their followings are like bigger than
Nintendo's. Yeah, I think a lot of their followings.
It's reaching the right audience.
Yeah, and of course, being a media outlet that's extremely like well known doesn't hurt them either. Yeah. Like we at Nintendo we did have very good relationships with IGN, and they were always included in media activity with our developers, and there was like a lot of trust there. But still, like you're asking these two people, like top Nintendo developer royalty, to do unscripted Snapchat content at IGN. They don't even speak English, okay? Yeah. They speak a little English, but like, this is a weird
Did you just
proposal.
show them a highlight reel of like Reggie doing the yokai watch dance and dumping the maple syrup and like, this is the energy you need to bring.
This is what you need to bring. And Bill eating Bill's like coaching them on how to...
coach him up, he's right there.
Yeah, coach him up on how to eat like 15 donuts in like 20
He's
seconds.
got a box of donuts in the back of the van.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We're power eating donuts and taking pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge. But of course, because the mindset was like, let's try anything, we don't care. They said yes. I was like, all right.
Right.
But they said yes to that, but we also did a very more informative interview with IGN.
Down.
It was actually a really good, I think the video of this still exists. I'll put some clips into the podcast, but you guys should go back and watch this interview if you haven't before. But it is with Mr. Koizumi and Mr. Takahashi, really going deep into the philosophy of Switch and the philosophy of 1-2 Switch and all that stuff that we were trying to like highlight during that launch, the lead up to launch. But I love the I for the life of me cannot find these Snapchat videos because they're probably gone.
They're gone.
Maybe someone from IGN, if you are listening, if you have an archive of, I would love to see them again. My favorite, I'll just describe it to you. My favorite one was they wanted to do a skit where Mr. Takahashi is yelling at Mr. Koizumi about how he hadn't figured out like what is the defining like factor of Switch yet. So it was like a fake meeting where Mr. Takahashi's like,
another very important meeting.
Why haven't you figured out like what makes the system unique? He's like whacking his finger. He came so naturally to that role. But he really like he did it. Like he was like very intimidating. Like, how come you haven't?
Getting into his zone.
He's getting into the zone. He was like, we were in one of those IGN conference rooms, and he was like, you have not figured out what the unique thing about the system is. And then Mr. Koizumi is very dejected. He like leaves the room, and he's like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then he walks by this giant pile of Kit Kats. And then he goes back into the room and he breaks the Kit Kat into the two Kit Kat. He breaks it into two pieces and he goes like this. And he goes, oh, because it's supposed to be like the Joy-Con, like break off the Joy-Con. And it was incredible. He did eat some Kit Kat, like a lot of Kit Kats that day. And I was like, maybe you're going to like throw up. Be like a child. Don't eat those Kit Kats. But they were like those giant, like king-sized Kit Kats. So they did a whole bunch of videos like that. Like there was a whole bunch of other ones that were like all around, like very, very much in the vein of like a funny skit of them like coming up with basically like a spoof on how they came up with all the different things that makes Nintendo Switch. So them willing to do stuff like that was so different and so fun. And yeah, we spent like probably the whole day at IGN.
Wow, big get for IGN.
I know. I remember afterwards, like Pear was there and he was like, thank you so much. I can't believe they spent like 5 hours here. Oh my gosh, like this is incredible. We've never had that like opportunity before. Like this is so great. So yeah, that was like a whole like other thing that we did in the Bay Area. And then we flew those guys out to New York to do a bunch of stuff there, and basically we did a thing at the store in New York, and yes, we did close off that entire second floor for like a big...
Who got to go to that event?
It was all media and influencers, and more like New York media and stuff like that, like the Today shows of the world.
Sure.
And yeah, they did like a whole bunch of more like traditional type interviews up there. There's a great picture of me with them up there that I like to look at. It's like, oh, so cute. It's
nice.
Yeah. And it was like the big like preview thing for Switch before it came out in March. Like this was like sort of the last thing that we did in the preview phase before like the thing launched. And then after that they ended up flying from there, I think to London, like directly to London from New York. They were literally on like a world tour.
Yeah.
And then in Europe, they did a whole bunch. I think there was like stuff where they did kind of similar things, like playing Switch around landmarks. They did something around the Eiffel Tower, I remember, and like all sorts of fun stuff. I sort of handed them over to the NOE babysitters and let them take it from there. It was like a pass the baton, but it was like a pass the developer. Send them off, But yeah, 2 weeks.
You must have had a sigh of relief when they went off to the airport.
I'm glad they were in one piece.
It's over.
I loved it. They were fun to hang out with. They were great. But I was like, wow, this is a lot. Like, this is like 2 weeks out of my
Did they have any requests? Like, so for example, Mr. Miyamoto, when he came, he would always like us to surprise him with some sort of
activity,
interesting and unique after-hours activity to kind of like get his brain going. Yeah. Did these guys have anything like that?
They wanted to eat.
They just wanted to eat?
They wanted to eat like
What were the food requests?
Steaks.
Steaks.
We had a lot of steak. I think New York steak was like one of the
So there were no requests for heavy apps?
No.
Nobody requested heavy apps, which was on the menu when they won Game of the Year a few months later?
And then how do you eat a steak standing up? That's what I want to know. We had a lot of good dinners.
I'll bet.
In San Francisco, we had some good dinners.
I'll bet.
And I remember this like very specific moment where I was talking to Mr. Koizumi because I was like really proud to show him my home. You know, I was like, I live here. Like, I love living in San Francisco. The restaurants are so good, and like, you know, on the weekends, it's really fun because we have wine country. Like, we get to go up to Napa and go up there. And he, like, gave me this look, like a 5-second look where he's like, wow, you live a really beautiful life. And I wasn't sure if he was like, are we paying you too much? Or like, how How come I have to
How
work?
can I do this?
How come I have to work so hard?
I'm actually important.
Yeah, I'm important. I have to work so hard. You're drinking wine on the
I'm wearing
weekends?
a goofy red jacket like a clown eating Kit Kats all day long.
Hey, you're drinking like Cabernet Sauvignon in Napa? Are you kidding me? So that was really funny. Like I did have a sense where he was like a little bit envious of me, which I was like, are you kidding me? Like I'm envious of you. Like you're you. I didn't remember them coming to our office too. They're like, you have your own office? Like, oh wow. Because they don't.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, well, your office is like
work
really nice.
arrangement is very different.
Yeah, so they were like, wow, this is like really different, you know, and also like, how come you get it
Takahashi's like taking notes and photos, sending
like,
it back. What's the deal?
with this? Yeah, exactly.
Explain.
My Animal Crossing office that I had.
Yeah?
It was really cute. Yes, that was also the first showcase of the PR magic that we started calling
infamous.
The infamous PR magic, which we talked about a little bit, but there was I don't even know. I think one of the people in the entourage came up with this. And it wasn't the cool guy that was
Some real
his right
hanger-on energy.
There was a hangers-on energy to this PR magic. But again, they were so like open-minded and like willing to do anything, even put on a goofy jacket and be goofy. But this is where like somebody in our 20 group of people, like person number 18 or whatever, was carrying like a garment bag that had the red jacket in it. And if there was a big interview or a big thing that they were doing, they would like come and put the jacket on him. And they kept saying it to me like in like half Japanese, half English, like PR magic. I'm like, I don't really know what
This was probably like somebody's whole responsibility on this trip.
It was.
Like oversee PR magic.
Oversee the PR magic, which just meant put the jacket on him, I think. I still, to this day...
Take it out of the garment bag and put it on him.
To this day, I kind of still don't get it. Do you get it?
No.
Okay, I don't know if I got it. Because I did the PR magic for like a year with him.
Is it mandatory to pair it with a cappy hat?
I think it is.
Okay, so they had that on them as well.
Right.
Yeah.
The picture that we took in New York was the jacket with the cappy hat. And that jacket must have been custom made.
Because you said it had the
buttons.
bright yellow Mario level buttons on it.
And it fit him really well. Like it fit him perfectly.
Tailor made.
It was like tailor made.
One of
for
these
him.
like artisanal centuries old Kyoto
I
artisans.
know, right?
Like, here's what I want.
I have like hand
I want to look
dyed.
like Ronald McDonald.
but I've hand dyed this
like
jacket.
CEO level Ronald McDonald there.
This like specially woven cloth from like how we've woven like kimonos in the past is put on this PR magic jacket.
Right.
It was very strange. We didn't get like, I don't think we got too many weird, Target.
They wanted to go to
They
Target.
love Target.
Okay.
They want to get
Yeah,
Starburst
I've had that.
at Target.
I've had that get mentioned as well. So we learned when we last went to Japan and we were hanging out with people.
Yeah.
Japan only recently got Skittles.
They don't allow the
For some,
bad
I think
sugar.
it was like the chemicals or something in it. They're
Red
like these
Diamond,
are
Red
not
Diamond.
allowed to go into Japan.
Yeah.
So there was a big to do of like, oh my gosh, we have Skittles. I was like, yeah, who cares, Skittles.
Yeah.
So
There were Skittles all over their office. We were like, why do you have so many Skittles? So
What's
weird.
the deal with the Skittles?
It's not Halloween. What's going on? They were like, we just got these, and we have like,
It's the Skittles.
we've gotten like the pallet, the Costco sized pallet of Skittles. Now we're like eating Skittles all
Great.
day. It's like, okay, well, good luck to your blood sugar, but whatever. But yeah, Target was like a big deal. Like every time we would be by a Target, we'd be like, oh. Do we have time to go to Target?
The mythical Target.
I guess you have like 20
Sure.
minutes. I go to Target if you must to buy candy. I guess like there's tons of candy, and then there was one Target trip that went awry, and Mr. Takahashi was mad.
What happened?
I don't know. They were
ran
late.
late?
They were late.
Oh.
We were like gonna leave.
And he didn't go in?
He didn't go to Target. We were like waiting.
Should've
we were
gone.
like he was not a Target person. He did not want the candy.
Maybe he needed a sugar rush.
Maybe he was cranky
I don't know.
because he needed sugar.
That's
I
what I'm
should've just given
saying.
him some
Go get the candy.
Starburst. Anyways, yeah, he did not go get the candy. He was with some people that stayed behind. I did not go get the candy because I was like working.
You stayed with him.
I stayed with him, and then he came over and he was like, "Where are they?" And I was like, "I think they went to Target." And he was like, "I'm mad at them." He may have said a bad word in Japanese. I won't repeat it here. Oh no! And then I was like, "I think they'll be back soon." And then I was like texting. I think I texted that guy, that cool guy. I was like, "Are you guys coming back soon?" He's like, "We're almost done."
I'll go check. He ran out, like panic called Bill Trennan. What's going on?
Did you buy the Starburst yet?
Put down the Starburst and get back here.
No, I can't yell at anyone. I had to be like the nice person. I had to be like, I'm nice to you, and I'm nice to you. I don't want any drama, please.
Amazing.
It was incredible, but he was mad. He was really mad. I think he was hungry. I think we're supposed to go to dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, they were buying Starburst and eating that before dinner.
I'm sure he had like a night full of video conferences ahead of him. That's the downside of these guys doing the trips. If they're like actual big shots like these guys were, you think they go, you know.
work multiple times.
You think they're like going from dinner to just like taking a bath and going to sleep? No. They're doing like 8 hours of video conferences. They're working 2 days back to back.
That's true.
So
That's
they're
tough.
mad.
I get it. I would be mad if I didn't get to sleep. That would be mad. That would be maddening.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what an incredible just time to osmosis.
Yeah.
Whether it was scary or not, to osmosis from them, like, you know, just the philosophy. Like that's what you get when you work at Nintendo, and obviously when you spend extended time, especially with the developers.
Yes.
Is like you get to absorb the stuff. And it's really hard to describe. Like a lot of people say like, oh, you don't work there anymore. So how would you know? It's like, you know, because you were like literally like, you know, immersed in it all the time.
You know them as people, not just people making a game.
You know them as people. You know the people behind the company. You know the philosophy of the people behind this company. Those philosophies, the mindset of the people behind the magic, it runs so deep. It is like not going to change.
Yeah.
You know, it's so rooted in what makes Nintendo Nintendo, and getting a chance to see that like manifested in like cool people, just like genius level, like people that you just are in awe of all the time. When the stuff that pops out of their mouths and into their heads, you're like, wow, you are on another level. Like truly, this is why this company is successful, because you did it, you know? So it's pretty amazing.
The big question is, will these people be back, or will some combination of other people from Nintendo be back to do the same sort of thing? Because now the philosophy is, well, the product speaks for itself. And it does, but there's this whole other layer of insights and stories and just, again, magic that they can bring that you can't get from a faceless, voiceless, you know, video or
a written interview,
an email interview that's been sanitized. Like there is something really special to all of these things, and I think we're both wondering like how are they going to do this, because they've been out of the game for many years now.
Yeah, we were talking about Doug Bowser being sort of out of practice with, you know, just how to do an interview, how to be like a public face again. Same thing with these developers. Like they're even more, I think, kept in their ivory tower nowadays, like very protected, very much heads down, kind of siloed, working on what they're working on. But yeah, hasn't had an opportunity to really share, you know, the background behind what makes, you know, what's going to make Switch 2 special. We haven't heard that story yet. I don't know how they're going to tell that story. Are they going to tell it without the developers and just do it in a more factual way, or are they going to let the people behind this hardware come out and share insights from a real human? I hope that we see them again, honestly. I hope that we see them beyond a Nintendo Direct. Those are scripted. Those are very sanitized. Those are different than the things that we did with them during the Switch launch. You know, I'm not, you know, saying like, oh, you guys have to be like zany and crazy again, but it would be just good to like hear from them.
I think they will, because for a hardware launch that's this big, you just need to flood every channel you can with information, with content, and this is just a whole other avenue for content and information.
Yeah.
So I'm sure somebody has done the math of like from the original Switch launch, this percentage of all the conversation that happened was driven by these activities that these guys did. And if you didn't happen, that just goes away. Right. You just don't have it. And this is what you want. You want as much conversation, as much unique angles as you can get. Mm-hmm. So even though this may not be the thing that they love to do anymore, it's kind of a hard sell to say that we're not going to do it for this.
Yeah, that's very true. I just hope that we get to hear from them again. And I miss Mr. Koizumi, Mr. Takahashi, in an unscripted way. Like, it's really like you can just learn so much about like what makes something special because of, you know, how they're thinking about it. So yeah, I hope that they do this. I think that they will as well. I think April 2nd will come, and hopefully we'll get to see the developers behind the games and the hardware in a more human way and get to learn from them about what excites them about all this. And I think that would be a great way for us to learn more about Switch 2. So, yeah, hopefully that happens again. Hopefully he gets to come out here and eat some steak and buy some Starburst.
Great story. And to cap it off, we asked our Patreon subscribers if there was a Nintendo developer that they would like to hang out with.
Yeah.
We got some great answers. Of course, there were a lot of people who said Mr. Miyamoto, obviously, yes.
Yes.
But with some kind of more under the surface type of answers. Here's one from Pseudo Priest. Not a dev in the technical sense, but it would be amazing to get to know how Koji Kondo thinks and works, what process he follows and has followed to develop the music of the games he played, a role as composer, and what it's like to work with him. I know you worked with him at least a bit for the Game Awards and would love to know more about him. Great pick.
Yes.
Connor says, I'd love to meet Mr. Sakamoto. I love the Metroid franchise and loved Emio, which in turn got me to try the other Famicom Detective Club games. I think he's a very unique person within Nintendo and would love to learn more about his history and approach to video games. Mr. Nogami would probably be a close second since I love the world of Splatoon. The downside to meeting him is that he's given so many interviews in Splatoon, I'd worry the questions would run dry.
You could just ask him about him.
Talk about non-game things,
Yeah.
and you might find it in an interesting way, leading into a conversation.
Whenever
about
we
Splatoon.
would hang out with the devs, we would ask him. We would probably never ask him about game stuff because we had worked all day, and they don't want to talk about it anymore.
You don't want to, feel
Ask him about his life.
like you're just one more person interviewing them.
Yeah.
Like they want to have
They want to have a human
they want to
conversation
wind down.
with you.
They don't want to feel like they're working.
Exactly. That's why it was so cool.
Right,
Is that we
right.
we talked about ourselves and we learned about each other. That's the best part.
Finally, Zroyd has a great answer. I have maybe an unconventional answer here, which is that I would like to meet one of the many anonymous developers who were hired in the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years, working on one of Nintendo's current major projects, such as the new Mario Kart game. I would like to ask them what it is like to work for Nintendo as a developer, and assuming they're able to answer candidly, how they feel about the company now compared to when they applied for the job, and lastly, what they hope to achieve within Nintendo in the future.
Fresh blood.
The stars of the future.
Yes.
Yes.
Today.
The top game developers of
Yes.
the future. That's a great idea.
That's great. I would love to.
I mean, that in itself is a fascinating conversation. That you can
Exactly.
have. Yeah.
Exactly.
What's this all about?
I'm turning my. You're cheating already.
I'm cheating?
Yes.
No, and so now we're going to move on to our Never a Minute segment, which is also developer related. This
Yes.
is the Guess the Developer game.
This is like Guess Who. Remember that game Guess Who where you flip the little portraits
So I guess
down?
we're doing this. I mean, again, you're the one who has a problem of
Don't look.
peeping.
Are you looking?
But we have each prepared 3 hints about a developer that we have in mind,
Yes.
and we're going to see if how many hints we need to guess
Yeah.
the developer.
The hints go from hardest to easiest.
Yes.
The third hint should probably give
if
it
you're
away.
in desperation.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, please play along with us.
Yes,
Guess
you should.
along if you can come up with the right answer. Yeah. Are you gonna go first?
I'll go first. Sure.
Okay. All right.
This person directed the first 3 Animal Crossing games. I'll move on. This person is cooler than Mr. Furukawa, according to Gen Z.
Mr. Nogami.
Yes. So the story of that is, I guess Mr. Furukawa and Mr. Nogami have kids who are about the same age.
They go to the same school, I think.
And they go to the same school, and they went to some event that the parents go to, and we heard this straight from Mr. Furukawa. He was like, the kids were just flocking to Mr. Nogami, and nobody even cared that I was there or even
They were like,
recognized
they didn't even know
me.
who I was.
Amazing.
He was very downtrodden by this fact.
That's awesome.
It was very adorable. Was Mr. Nogami wearing the squid
I
labs?
hope not.
He was like, he was doing his little weird
hamming it up for these students.
That'd be hilarious. Can you imagine that?
Brought the doolies with them.
The parent-teacher conference on that. I'm a kid. I'm a
Oh,
kid. Okay,
man.
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
So I wrote them in first person.
Oh.
I believe my mission is not to compete, but to, quote, always come up with something very different from what Mr. Miyamoto is likely to do.
Okay. So it's not Mr. Miyamoto.
Right.
Go ahead.
I've been at Nintendo since 1982.
Oh, 1982. Boy, that's a long time. All right, I'll take the third one here.
Out of all the Nintendo developers, I'm the best at storytelling.
Oh, now that's an interesting one. Like storytelling in a game or storytelling as a person?
In a game.
Do you care to clarify that?
In a game. In a game.
Well, I was just going to say Mr. Koizumi.
No, it's Mr. Sakamoto.
I didn't think that would be 1982 for him to join. So no, I didn't get that one. Okay.
Mr. Sakamoto.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
He's been there for a long time.
Yes. This one joined Nintendo in 1984.
Oh.
This person is one of the best dressed Nintendo developers. And this person does his best work on the back of a Las Vegas napkin. Does his best work on the back of a Las Vegas napkin.
Mr. Koji Kondo.
Yes. So that one, we told the story in our episode with Jeff Keighley at the first Game Awards.
Yeah.
He was there to perform, and he was performing with Imagine Dragons, and he was writing some music.
It was just the chords.
He was writing it on the back of this napkin because he was going to go practice with Imagine Dragons, and that was his prep. I was like, writing music notes on the back of this napkin.
Do you know how to play the piano?
What's happening here?
He is very well dressed,
Yes.
and I also take some credit for that because I picked out his tie for that performance.
I don't think you get any of the credit.
I get some credit. He asked me.
One outfit out of his entire life.
That's right.
Okay.
That was inspirational to him.
Fine. All right.
Okay. Here's the next one.
Yes.
Before working at Nintendo, I worked at Atlas.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I've credited diversity as the main reason for the critical and commercial success of one of my most famous franchises.
Okay. Is this Kyogoku-san?
It is.
Ah.
The last one was, out of all the Nintendo developers, I know the most about toilets.
Oh boy. In what way?
Does.
In what way?
She developed like 100 toilets. Come on.
Yeah, that Atlas deal about her is a little under the radar.
She actually joined
you don't hear too much
Nintendo
about that.
like halfway, like a lot of people
Into
like
her career.
Exactly.
Yeah,
She worked on like some really like, famous
Yeah.
Atlas games as well.
All right, let's see. I have one more for safety in case we came up with the same thing. I'm going to go with this one that I think is a little bit trickier.
Oh.
This person taught us something we didn't know about the Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
This person became an E3 star.
Oh, Mr. Jabuki.
Yes.
That was the one I had.
Oh. You don't have one for safety, do you?
I don't have, but I'm going to read you mine just so you know.
Well, I'll do the other one for you. Is what I'll do.
All right. Let me read you my Mr.
let's
Jabuki
see,
said
yes.
first. I said, I replaced another famous Nintendo developer and took over as the lead on one of Nintendo's most important franchises. Do you know who he took over from?
Replaced?
Yeah, he replaced.
Mr. Kono?
Yes.
I don't know if he replaced him.
Well, Mr. Kono went on to do a different
okay.
project. And then my second clue was, I personally asked Masahiro Sakurai to include one of my characters in Smash Ultimate.
Wow, big flex.
Big flex.
That was like the moment after his E3 start. I was like, I'm calling Sakurai.
He's like, hey you, Min Min.
I'm on a winning streak.
Get it! And then my last one is, apparently the women of Nintendo think a lot of me.
Yeah, that was the last one. Unanimous approval by female Nintendo employees.
Legend.
Yes. My secret third one. This one's not that hard. The unsung hero of the Mario franchise, the best lunch buddy a friend can have, and created your favorite character.
Of course,
Yes.
Mr. Tezuka.
Mr. Tezuka.
Of course, my favorite.
Well, now I'm smarting over that, Mr. Sakamoto. Read those clues again. 82.
I believe my mission is not to compete with, but to always come up with something very different from what Mr. Miyamoto is likely to do.
Okay.
I joined Nintendo. I've been in Nintendo since 1982. And out of all of Nintendo's developers, I'm the best at storytelling.
Yeah, I had Koizumi on the mind, and he did come up with a lot of those early like Zelda stories and the Zelda lore. So that was on my good misdirection.
I'm glad that you got
by you on that.
Kyogoku-san
Yes.
before the last one.
Yes.
But yeah, the point about her working at Atlas is a little bit deep cut.
Yeah. Okay.
How fun! How many did you guys get right?
Yeah.
I want to know.
We have a lot of games we're playing, so let's not wait to get to that. But first, let's shout out our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Turtle Beach. Winter has arrived, but don't panic. It's not a bad thing. It's an excuse. An excuse to cancel all your plans, slap on your Turtle Beach headset, and game until the sun finally decides to come back. We are both big fans.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Of the Turtle Beach Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset.
So good. This is my go-to gaming headset. I have been doing exactly this. Again, it's been cold and rainy. I have not left the house at all. I've just been playing games and hanging out. I played all of Metroid Prime Remastered.
Oh, perfect.
With my
You can really appreciate the sound design.
I was just gonna say,
yeah,
there's so much atmospheric, sort of like lo-fi kind of sound in that game.
If you have
it's great.
a sound bar or surround sound, like there's just a level of things you're not going to notice unless you're wearing good headset like these.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And they're so comfortable. Like there are some headsets that like when over time like you start to feel like fatigue in your ears, and there's just something about the way these go on. It's like, and again, it's like if you want to play for an extended amount of time, like you want to be able to be doing it the way that you're doing it, not like, well, now I need to charge this or I need to switch over to something else. It's like, no, this thing will let you do it. And the battery life is incredible. So it is made for those extended sorts of sessions.
I've been using it for other stuff too. I've been listening to podcasts and music with them. I've been like walking around my house and cleaning and listening to a podcast with them. And they stay on your ears. Yes. They're really comfortable. It's awesome.
And Turtle Beach has all sorts of great stuff, including flight and racing simulators, controllers, keyboards, mice. They are the ultimate gaming cheat code. So this winter, forget the cold, grab your Turtle Beach Gen 3 Stealth 700 and level up your gaming experience. Head to turtlebeach.com and use code KITKRYSTA for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with promo code KITKRYSTA.
We'll put the link over here and also the QR code for you to scan and also in the description below.
All right, how many games do we have? Oh boy,
Woof.
1, 2, 3,
a lot of games.
7 games?
Whoa.
Sheesh. Let's start with Ruffy and the Riverside, the aforementioned game that we have a gameplay video up on our Patreon. So that there is a demo for this that's coming out as part of, I believe, Steam Next Fest.
Yeah.
And I did get confirmation. We were wondering about this. This is only a Steam demo. So this game's coming out on all sorts of platforms, including Switch. But the demo is only on Steam, but we got some early access to it.
We did, yeah. It's such a cool game. We actually saw this game first at PAX West.
Yes.
And we were just really taken in by the art style and just the unique look of the game. And yeah, super lucky to get some early access to the demo. We were able to play it. You played it, and then you let me play it for our gameplay video. And I loved it. I'm typically kind of nervous when it comes to 3D platformers. But this one I thought was so awesome.
Well, this game gave me a good feeling, even us just seeing it, at a glimpse at PAX. We didn't get to play it then. But having played it, this really does feel like it has big breakout potential.
Totally.
So it's a 3D platformer that's taking a lot of inspiration from classic platformers like Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, others. It's also got a really interesting art style that feels a little like Paper Mario, hand-drawn.
Yeah.
At times feels very unique with some really unique and cute characters. I don't know what Ruffy is.
Ruffy's adorable. But
little fuzzball.
Kind of
like a hood.
Cute, Bigfoot type character.
Okay, oh yeah, Sasquatch. Cute Sasquatch. Cute Sasquatch, sure.
Yeah.
But there is this unique gameplay hook to it where you can sort of capture a texture of something from the world and apply it to something else. So there's actually a pretty good undercurrent of puzzle solving.
Yeah, I really like that about it.
And that's where this comes into play. So an example of this is Ruffy cannot swim, so there might be a body of water between you and like Mario, you're collecting these stars. And you're like, well, how am I going to get across? But then you might find an iceberg, so you can capture the essence of ice and apply it to the water, freeze it, and then run across and get the star.
One of the first things you learn when you literally within the first 30 seconds of the game is how to use that mechanic. And the example they had was really great, I thought, where you're supposed to go up this waterfall, and so you capture a vine, and you basically turn the waterfall into a climbable thing, and then you climb up the vine.
Yeah.
So that mechanic opens up a lot of different like ways for you to explore the world. And yeah, we were poking around the demo, and I definitely think there's stuff that we like missed or couldn't figure out.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to like experiment with that mechanic, and yeah, it definitely has like a bit of a Mario 64 feel to it, because you are collecting these stars and you can go into different levels, like different doors, to get, you know, a certain number of stars. But just in the overworld, there's all these fun like little secrets. Like you can do a short puzzle in the overworld or talk to people in the little village and collect stars that way as well. So yeah, I thought it was really great, and I was very like, it was a very refreshing experience, I think, to play a 3D platformer that sort of hits on some of those nostalgic notes, but also kind of adds a new aspect with this like capturing the texture mechanic. I really loved it.
The game or the demo ends on this really effective cliffhanger, where you go into some of these standalone levels, and they're pretty big. They're a good size, but then you get enough stars to open the last door in the demo, and they show you this giant, like very open thing with all you can see, like all the like, oh, I'm gonna be jumping over here, I'm gonna be climbing over here, and if the camera kind of sweeps over it, and that's where the demo ends.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I really wanted to explore this big world that you just introduced to me, but I guess I'll have to wait.
I know. We were both like watching the little flyover after we got into the last door, and we were like, wait, they're not letting us...
We're not going to get to play this.
They're not letting us play all this right now,
like
are they? Wait, no.
Yeah.
But then they show you all these teases of like what's to come, and you get so hyped. You're like, oh my God, this world is huge. There's so much for me to do. And then and then the demo ends. We're like, oh.
But people have said this before. Like it does feel like a very Nintendo style game, because like the gameplay is very tight. The world is very engaging. There's lots of ways to kind of experiment with the mechanics and get rewarded for that. And then they make this unique mechanic that they have of like applying different things to the world. I haven't seen a lot of games, specifically a lot of platformers, doing that either. Feels like the way Nintendo would approach making a game. And I mean, even just going around that hub world was really fun. And there's a lot of things to do. So yeah, I came away from this feeling really, really optimistic about it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Cappy, and how Cappy can like capture different, and you can like become that entity. It's a little bit like that kind of imagination, because what it does is it opens up exploration,
right?
Which is what makes it cool,
right?
Like it's not straight up just 3D platforming. Right. It's more so plus exploration, and you are very incentivized to like check all the nooks and crannies and experiment and find the stars. So
and we did confirm. For some of those puzzles, like there's different ways to approach those.
Yeah.
Like there's not just one
Because you solved
solution.
a different way than me.
Yeah, because you did something and I was like, oh, I don't know how you're going to solve this now. And then you found some other way around, like an obstacle to get to it. It's like, oh, well, that's neat that there's not just the way.
The only way.
To do it. So that's great. So.
And for someone that is very bad at 3D platforming, it's a very forgiving 3D.
It's pretty forgiving, the platforming.
It's very forgiving, because you do have a hover jump.
You have a little
bee friend. And any kind of like double jump, hover jump always makes a huge difference for me, who is not like the best at 3D platforming, so it's not as frustrating.
Right.
So I really like that about it.
Yeah. That's coming out, I believe,
April. Yes, April.
And yeah, like the demo is about to come out if it's not out already on Steam. But yeah, this feels like this feels like this will be big on Switch.
I think so too. Yeah. I can't wait to play the full game.
Last week, when producer Stephanie was here, she turned you on to a new game, Love and Deep Space, which, as I understand it, has consumed your life. So tell us all about this.
I love it so much. Thank you, producer Stephanie.
Wow.
So we got into this discussion about Love and Deep Space because it's from the same developers as Infinity Nikki. My precious Infinity Nikki.
Right.
So this game, Love and Deep Space, is a mobile game. It definitely has the gacha game stuff in it. Producer Stephanie has told me she spent a lot of money in
Sure.
Love and Deep Space, but she said she would coach me through it, and so I would only spend money on the things that actually mattered.
All right.
But so far, I have been able to enjoy the game without spending any money, just like what I've been doing with Infinity Nikki.
All right.
But yeah, this game is basically a dating sim wrapped in like a pretty cool, deep story. My description of this is like Xenoblade plus the relationships part of Fire Emblem, where you do have to like the gameplay. The game part of it is like an action RPG. Like you're fighting. The reason why it's called Love and Deep Space is you're in space and you're fighting these like aliens and stuff, and there are within each chapter there is a combat portion of that chapter where you are fighting these aliens. You are basically like a space cop. So you have like weapons, you have special attacks. It is very like it feels like Final Fantasy, like Final Fantasy 16, like that type of action RPG. Quite well done gameplay. Like I was impressed. And then the people that you're dating, these very hot men that you're dating, become like your support characters, basically. Like the person that went on the most recent mission with me is a doctor, so he's basically a medic. So he'll heal you.
So do you have do you make your character?
Yes, you make your character.
Okay.
And it's your story.
Yeah.
So basically the story starts out of you joining this like police academy in this like, city in space. And you get some pretty like heavy backstory. Like there seems to have been some sort of horrible war and the aliens took over and then the humans were able to like fight them back and start this like space colony. You are like orphaned from this war, so you live with your grandma and you like want to like avenge your parents' death by joining this like, space police force. And the game starts you off with like combat. So this is one of those things where like once again you have this game that feels like super shallow on the surface. Like on the surface you're like, oh, this is dating sim. You just got you're cheap. Like you just got these hot guys that you are like using to like draw the player in. Like I'm just here for like this like extremely hot man, the eye candy. But the gameplay is so deep. Like I was like just like Infinity Nikki, where you're like, it's just some like silly little dress-up game, but the gameplay is so deep. So yeah, you're like leveling up, you have your weapons, like the dating part is, I say it's like Fire Emblem, because you know how when you do like those support things, they become like better with you in battle. So that's what happens. Like after my affinity went up with like the doctor, like he became like a pretty legit medic. Like when I was like battling, he was just like auto-healing me and doing all sorts of stuff and like shielding me and stuff. So I haven't done a battle with any of the other like characters yet, but I imagine like each of them will have like different kind of powers to help you.
Now, if you were to gotcha something, what would you be gotchaing for?
Memories.
Husbandos?
Well, you have the 5 people that you're like locked into dating basically, or like getting your affinity up with. But how you do that is through these like you like unlock these memories and you have these like shared experiences with them. Like I think what you pay for is more memories. I haven't done it yet because I'm not that far into the story. I've been taking my time in the story and just like using my like the daily rewards to get the memories so far. I haven't felt the need to like buy stuff. Like I know you can buy like outfits and stuff like that too, like get cute and stuff. There's like a cute little photo mode that you can do. You can like decorate their room. The whole like the little hub world is like at this really aesthetic coffee shop. And like every day when you log into the game, you like are in the coffee shop and like one of the boys is like waiting for you in there and they're like, I've been waiting for you, let's chat. And you have like a conversation with them and like you can collect all your daily rewards and then you can go into the story and like play a couple chapters. That's how I'm doing it at least. I love it. It's so good.
Does this have any kind of like social if you it's obviously it's a single player game, but like between you and Stephanie, can you like share items or anything? So it's really just like your experience. Okay.
And they do a really good job of making it like very like like you really feel like you're talking talking to the guy. Like you feel like you're like FaceTiming somebody basically. And like when you text them, it's like, oh, this is one of those games, you know how you and I like really realistic text messaging? This is one of those games with really realistic text messaging. And like it tells you too, like after you finish a text conversation. It shows you the tree of your response. It's kind of like in Control.
Yes.
You know how it's like you could have messed up by saying.
Oh, sure.
So you could like.
You mean
rewind.
Detroit?
Oh, Detroit.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
It's like that. They'll show you like your whole like chain of like dialogue, and then say like how did you do? Because your whole point is get the affinity up like really high, so they can help you in the battles. But it's good. It's like legit good. It's not just a dating sim. Like it's legit good gameplay.
What is the name of the developer of these?
Infold?
And they're in
China? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Interesting.
I love them.
Huh. They're onto something.
They're onto something because they actually have good gameplay.
Yeah.
Like they could be cheap, and I would have fallen for it anyway. Like if Infinity Nikki was just a dress-up game, I would have been fine.
Sure.
If this game was just a dating sim, I would have still played it. But because it is such a deeper gameplay experience, I'm seriously impressed.
Do they have have you looked at like what other? Because obviously there's a lot of Nikki games. Do they have any other series or games in their own?
I haven't looked. I should.
You should check those out.
I'm so in.
Seems like they've got you figured out.
Can I meet you? Who are you? I'm so interested in like their philosophy because like a lot of times when I'm playing these games, I'm like I always say to myself like you don't have to go this hard. Like you already have me. But they do. Yeah. They really don't take any like things for granted.
Right.
Like they're not being cheap about it. You know they can be, but they're not.
Yeah.
And like I'm still playing Infinity Nikki too, and it's like I feel like the same way with. Some of they just dropped like the new content for it. I basically was like sucked back in, and played the entire new quest for the fireworks festival
for Infinity Nikki.
Nikki. Sorry, I'm talking about that now.
Yeah.
And it's like they did it for Lunar New Year's. It was like this big thing. They have a whole quest line about like this empire that was very much based on like sort of historical Chinese, Chinese history, like the Han Dynasty kind of thing, and it's just the detail of it is so good. Like after you finish the quest, you get treated to this cutscene where they wrote a whole like song based on like Beijing opera for this character. When you do the fireworks festival, it's like this whole thing. They opened up a whole new area for that festival with a bunch of new quests that you can do. There was a super fun gameplay section where you basically have to platform on a bunch of hot air balloons. Oh. And it was so clever. That's like cool. It was just like floating hot air balloons in the air, and you're like chasing after like this one like bad guy that's like flying away in hot air balloons. So just the stuff that they come up with, I'm like, how are you doing this? This is amazing.
While we're staying on Infinity Nikki, I have a shocking revelation about this game. So I finally did get the PS5 version because remember I started on my phone. And I was like, I'll switch to the console because I want just tighter controls. And it looks really nice on the PS5, and the platforming feels really good. But there's a major omission. Uh-oh. You cannot invert the Y-axis in this game.
Oh, no.
I was looking through this menu. I was like, surely I've just overlooked this somewhere. And then I looked longer and longer. I was like, wait a minute. And then I Googled it. And it's like a lot of like-minded folks saying, what's the deal? I cannot invert this Y-axis.
Maybe they'll add in an update?
One can hope.
Don't look down.
One can hope.
Don't look up.
I'm just not looking up or down. I am simply looking
straight ahead and side to side.
That's how I'm getting through this game.
This game has very forgiving platforming, so you'll be fine.
Yes, it is. But that would be a nice thing to add.
I think that would be a nice thing to add. Yeah, I'm like in love with this developer. I'm so impressed. I continue to be extremely just like
I can tell
impressed by every game that I play that is made by them. I'm like, I've never been introduced to this world of Chinese gacha games, but I guess I'm in. I have yet to spend any money on any of these games.
You're very proud, but maybe you should. You've played Infinity Nikki for this long. Maybe you could throw her some pocket change.
But I already have what I want.
All right.
I guess I could get the outfits. All right. The outfits are pretty cute.
You said some of these outfits, like you can grind to get it or you can just buy it, right?
I'm really close on most of them.
All right.
I could just spend money and get like the last piece. Because it's usually like 8 out of 8 pieces and you get like 1 or 2 at a time.
Okay.
But yes.
Just saying.
I love this game.
Might help to ensure there's an Infinity Nikki 2 one day. Versus freeloaders like you.
I really think that there's going to be whales.
Played like 50 hours of Infinity Nikki and spent,
way more than
spent zero
money
on this game.
Yeah, I'm back to my 20 minutes a day though of Infinity Nikki.
All right. A new game that I checked out, that I've been hinting at this the last couple podcasts, Hyperlight Breaker.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it a little bit last week, and I said I would come back. And the reason I did that was I've been playing this game on and off, and it just has not clicked for me. So this game is in early access. I think it's just on PC at the moment. And they're very actively kind of tweaking it as time goes on. The initial parts of this game don't really give you much information about how to play the game, and it's also extremely challenging.
Yeah.
So
I remember it being challenging.
So this is a run-based game. The closest comparison I can make is a game that's really great. Risk of Rain 2.
I love that game.
Really great game. Yeah. That game has multiplayer. This game also has multiplayer. So you get dropped into a procedurally generated 3D environment, and it's like, a 3D, feels like a 3D kind of action RPG type game. And in your run, you're supposed to take out some mini bosses, which will unlock the ultimate boss. And I have yet to. I think I once beat one of the mini bosses before.
Oh wow!
It's just that.
So hard.
It's that challenging. You only get one heal out of the gate. You have to grind, I guess, to get some currency to be able to heal more. And so it just feels like unfairly punishing right now.
I see.
And I think I'm just going to put it down for a little while and see what happens. Because
they may be balancing the game still.
I got to the point where I was like, I need to watch some YouTube videos, like a beginner's guide, because maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm just playing it wrong.
Yeah.
And that was, every comment was like, bro, why is this game so hard? Bro, this game is kicking my butt. Bro. Bro, though. Like, the bros cannot handle this game, and
the bros?
And neither can I.
What about the sisters?
So, that they've said, they're like, yeah, we hear you, like, we get it, like, we're going to keep tweaking this. So, I will check back at
balancing
in a little bit and see the onboarding with the game, the way the game starts and the way the game equips you to go out into and have success and have fun. Not exactly there right now, which is a shame. Which is a shame because it's got a lot of good things going for it. Like the action feels good. The worlds feel very, very colorful. The characters look interesting. Like, I would like to play this game more, but the game's being a little mean to me right now. So I'll wait.
Yeah, this is why early access exists.
Yeah.
Hopefully for developers to hear the feedback and then balance the game.
Also, this is kind of like the downside of that is like if you have a really positive early access launch, that can be the springboard to a big full launch. It's like
tough for you
now
to
they're like
blend,
I think all of the player base is wondering like, is this going to be good? I don't know yet. I can't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Like, the Steam rating on it is very like mixed at the moment right now. So we'll see. I'll check back on this at some point.
Yes.
And let you know what I think.
Well, maybe there's going to be
because I want to like this game.
Yeah, maybe they'll confirm some kind of balancing update.
Yes. Or maybe the answer, as always, is just to get good. Maybe that's the answer. Me and the bros.
Maybe all the bros just suck.
It's possible. I don't know.
I mean, that's not super far-fetched, right?
You have another new game.
I do.
Vitamin Connection. What is this? This sounds familiar. This sounds familiar,
Connection.
But I don't know what this is.
Our very good friends at Way Forward gave me a code for this game.
I love every Way Forward game, so I should play this.
I truly am. Just send it to me because I'm in. This game, I played this last night because I was really tired and I wanted just like a chill game. This game is so cute.
What is it?
It's how do I describe it? It's like the concept feels a little Dr. Mario-y, where you are like a little vitamin pill.
Yes.
And you like blast through these germs.
It's a puzzle game.
It's not a puzzle game. I thought it was a puzzle. I thought it was a puzzle game, but it was not. You basically are inside somebody's body in a little vitamin pill ship that it looks like a Joy-Con sideways. You power the ship. You can rotate it all the way 360. You can go backwards and forwards. You have this laser beam that you can sort of 360. And it's kind of like that game Operation where you can't touch the sides of things. Yeah. You have to sort of like balance.
AKA Crash?
There's no crashing, but there is health. The ship has health.
Yeah.
So if you touch like the sides of it, you would lose health. And there's like some puzzle elements in there. Like, for example, they had these areas where they had these like what look like strings, and they're different colors, and you have to like use your ship to push through it. You also have these little mini games that you get to play where you basically go to like a major organ, like the heart, the brain, the lungs, the kidney, or whatever, and then it gives you a different kind of mini game to play. So one of them was like, I was a little ship with like a hand, like one of those like extendable hands, and I had to grab things, but there were like germs all around me. I played another little mini game where it was a rhythm game. Basically, you would have to like move your ship and like press buttons to clap. So it was like a little rhythm game.
I just Googled this to look it up. You're not joking when you said the ship looks like a Joy-Con.
Sideways Joy-Con.
Is this game Switch exclusive? Because this
legitimately
looks so much like a Joy-Con.
This is a 2-player game.
Oh, really?
So
fun.
I'm playing a single player right now, but I think we should try the multiplayer.
All right, I'm down.
Because basically, like, it probably make it easier or harder because you would have like one half of the controls and I would have the other half. Right now, I'm gonna have to do both at the same time. It's pretty hard. And it's really cute.
Oh, this game came out a couple years. I completely missed this game.
Yeah.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah. And the little boy's name is like Vita, and the little girl's name is Mina. It's really cute.
It's got this kind of like retro, like cartoon.
It looks
art
like.
style.
Do you guys remember the cartoon Jetsons?
The Jetsons?
Do you remember that cartoon?
Oh, no.
It's so old.
Have you heard of the Jetsons?
The Gen Zers are like, what the heck are you talking about? The art style reminds me of the Jetsons. Like it's very like sort of retro 70s.
Yeah.
And there's a story, I'm playing the story mode right now, and basically like you have to go inside people to help them get better. Like the first person I went inside of is this little boy, and he was too sick to go on his field trip. So I went and like cleared the germs out of his system, and he went to the aquarium at the end of the chapter. It's fun! And now I've unlocked some different like little things for my ship as well. I think I have a little like claw hook thing now.
Oh.
Which, you know,
now we're talking
I love
your
a
language.
claw hook.
Yeah.
There is like gyro controls for the claw hook that I was trying to like figure out last night.
All right.
It's actually really cute. I don't know how I missed this game, but I really like it so far.
Well,
it's very
great.
cute. I want to play the multiplayer with you for sure.
I have continued to play Dynasty Warriors Origins, and this game just gets better and better. They do kind of slow roll out some of these features. And again, like I go back to my experience with the demo where they had all this stuff unlocked out of the gate and they just kind of throw you in and ask you to figure it out. Like they have a much more measured way of introducing you to these new mechanics. So now there's like in between battles, there is this also kind of Fire Emblem-esque relationship system, which again, Koei Tecmo worked on some Fire Emblem, so they know a bit about that.
Husbandos?
So you can no, there's not quite that kind of relationships.
That's boring.
But it's a brothers in arms kind of relationship.
So boring. Who wants that?
Brothers on the battlefield.
That's boring.
But you can do missions for them and increase your affinity, and you know there are times that you'll see them on the battlefield, and they'll be stronger. I talked about last time how often in Dynasty Warriors game the first level is this thing called the Yellow Turban Rebellion.
Yeah.
So that was the whole first chapter of this game, and there was all this lead up and all this story leading up to it. Now, oftentimes the second level in Dynasty Warriors games is this other one called Hulao Gate. And that was the whole second chapter of the game. And there was hours and hours and long buildup. So it is very effective at actually telling you the story of like why these things happen. Because in the buildup to that, there was like this guy who came in from the government who like, he was the hero of, you know, fighting the Yellow Turbans, but then he had a heel turn and now he's the bad guy.
Corrupted.
You have to deal with him.
There's a lot of corruption in China.
There's a lot of corruption happening in this game where people you think are good are not good. But that level, that Hulao Gate level was really, really incredible. And the level before that was the level from the demo that I had some issues with in the demo. I had no issues with it. Now that I knew how to actually play all the systems in the game, I had no issues at all. And everybody knows Dynasty Warriors, like, yeah, there's a lot of guys that you're fighting, you're knocking them all around. But there are moments in this game where you will go into like a bigger area of the map and you'll be fighting quite like somebody's large army. And that's where they really dump the characters on the screen. Like I think I saw somewhere that there's like 1,000 units on the screen at once, and
does it look good?
It looks amazing and it runs really well. But
Incredible.
You get the feel of being in one of those old like big battles because like your character can barely, you don't really have shoulder room to like, you can't just like run through it. Like you can jump or you can get in a horse and you can do the power move and just mow them all down. So that's just another kind of like tactile thing of like, I'm arm to arm with guys and I'm just like sweeping them out of here and I'm getting them out of here. And they've also introduced some like siege implements. So in the Hulao Gate, it's like this giant like thing on the top of this snowy hill, and you're going up this staircase to get to the guy at the top, and it's massive. And like at the top of the gate, they got catapults shooting things down, guys shooting fire arrows.
Oh, that's a lot.
So they're just blowing off, and at every level of the stairs, there's like a phalanx of guys with shields that you have to break. That's something they didn't have in those games before. And like you're just like, it's like, how do I get through this? You have to do a power move to get through those and get it going. So it was just like a really like intense, visceral. Yes, we're in this battle. We're doing this kind of thing. And you're
like climbing this mountain.
And the music, the guitar's going off. It's like, I was like, this is what I've always wanted.
Wow!
Awesome.
Are there vistas?
Awesome.
Not so much.
Not so much vistas in this game, but that's fine.
But it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. I've been telling you about the localization of this game continues to baffle me.
I'm a little insulted as a Chinese person.
So we found out, a lot of people pointed out, because I was missing, I wanted a Chinese language version, because this is a game set in ancient China. I would like to play this with the Chinese voices. And I guess for some reason, the PlayStation version, which is the version I'm playing, is the only version that doesn't have this.
But why?
So the Steam version has it, the Xbox version has it.
But why?
I don't know. And
PlayStation, why?
And guess what? I need an answer.
Somebody answer us.
I need an answer. I need to know the reason.
I'm insulted as a Chinese person.
I'm not going to stop until I find out. But, so again, I'm playing it in English. The English in this series has always been bad.
Yeah.
And it continues to be bad. But they've introduced some different pronunciations of characters. So, the big bad guy, for the whole series, this guy named Lu Bu, who is basically the Terminator. And it's like he gets thrown out into these missions and it's like, stay away from him, he will kill you. This guy will like one-shot you.
Yeah.
And he's been in a lot of these recent missions. You just have to stay away. But now they've introduced a new way to pronounce his name. They're calling him Louis Bu. And I was like, well, the voice acting is so bad and the pronunciation of some of these Chinese words is so inconsistent. Maybe the guy just flubbed it and he was like, Louis. Yeah, he's Louis Bu. But then I looked it up and they're like, that actually might be the proper way to do it. So I was like, I don't know which is worse. Like that you've been doing it wrong for 20 years? And finally corrected it? Or you just had some guy who he just went off, off script and just called it that.
Yeah, huh.
So I need an answer.
Please.
I would like to play this game.
Yes.
In that language, please make it happen.
Please add an update. Patch it.
Get your act together.
It's so weird that it's on every other platform, but not PlayStation.
Not PlayStation.
It would be weird if it would have been less weird if it wasn't on any platforms. But
sure,
the fact that it's just omitted on one,
just on that one, and I just can't.
I don't understand.
I can't fathom a reason that works. But now I'm at a point where I need to choose a faction. So there are three. The three kingdoms.
Yes.
I need to choose one of the three.
Choosing?
Well, I'm choosing the one that has Guan Yu, obviously.
Okay, yes. Good choice.
There's another faction that I like, but I have to go. I have to go with Guan Yu. Yeah. But apparently, you can play through all of it kind of branches off into different missions and different story beats from there. So a lot of people are saying like, if you want the purest experience, you can play all three. I'm not going to play all three.
Oh yeah, it's like Fire Emblem. You can play all three.
I'll stick with
all three paths.
I'll stick with that one. Because probably by the time I finish this game, it'll be time to play like Yakuza in Hawaii or something else. So I think I can wrap up this one playthrough before I move on. But this game is really, really good.
It's back, baby. This game is back.
It really is. And I've also been watching some videos of like people doing tier lists of the Dynasty Warriors series as a whole, because 6 was so bad, 5 was so good, and 6 was so bad that I kind of like backed away from the series.
Right.
And a lot of these tier lists have been confirming kind of how I felt as well. Like everybody said, like, 5 is the pinnacle. 6 was so bad. Like, how did they fumble
how do they go from
that bad?
Top to bottom like
and
that?
Then,
yeah.
And then 7, 8, 9, it's like there might be some things to like, but
Yeah.
it ain't great. So I guess a lot of people felt the same way
There you go.
that I did about this.
Yeah.
Series.
Glad that they were able to bring it back, though, because that's hard to do after
I had just kind
a
of written
long-
it off of like, well, they'll keep making these, but they won't be very good.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of like, one day.
Amazing. Amazing.
Back on track.
Back on
I love
track.
it. I love it.
Wow.
Elden Ring? Are you back on track in Elden Ring?
I am back on track in Elden Ring. I'm back to my Elden Ring nonsense. I am now...
What are you doing now? Because you're at the final boss?
I'm at the final dungeon now.
You're grinding?
I burned the thing. I burned the tree. I burned whatever.
So what happens now?
Now I just finished that final dungeon. I go through the final dungeon and there's the last 2 bosses.
2 bosses?
Yes,
Oh, but
back
it's like
to back.
phase 1, phase 2?
No, I think it's 2 different people.
Can you save in between?
I don't know.
Oh.
We'll see.
You don't have to. That'd be rough if you had to do these 2 bosses back to back.
I don't think you have to.
Okay.
I'm sure.
So you're not at the final boss yet?
No.
You're at the
But I-
penultimate.
I have finished that quest I was doing to get the summons.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Are those
it was
good?
a lot of work.
Are those cool?
Oh yeah, those
All right.
quests were good, but the last one was a lot. I had to do this crazy thing where I had to like go and like talk to these people and then fall asleep a bunch of times. It was weird. It was very weird. This game is weird. Like,
Yeah.
super weird,
Yeah.
right? But I like it. I don't know. Everyone says final boss is really, really impossible. So we'll see. I don't even know if I can cheese it because I don't have. I'm have
I'm
that
sure
kind
there's
of
ways to
magic.
cheese it.
I don't have that kind of magic.
Watch the videos.
I don't have that. Kind
You
of
respec? Just for the final boss?
Maybe.
Oh, man.
No, I can
50
do
hours
it.
later.
I can do
I
it.
did it.
It could be 50. I mean, yeah. Once I start and if I don't beat it, I'll be mad and I'll have to beat it.
All
But
right.
I'm getting there.
We're on pins and needles.
Pins
there.
and needles, yes.
Let's move on to the news. Just this morning, Nintendo put out their financial update, and we actually have a whole other video on our channel going into this in great detail.
Yes.
But the one thing that's interesting coming out of this is the Nintendo Switch has now sold over 150 million
Wow.
units, and they are getting, so there's only 3 consoles ever that have sold over 150 million. It's this,
Yeah.
the Switch, Nintendo DS at 154 million, and the PlayStation 2 at 160 million. So
Is this before the 160 is after
Jim Ryan's final
fake
act.
numbers?
Final act.
Okay.
Fake numbers.
I don't know. Whatever. Maybe it's real.
Jim Ryan's incredible. Oh, what can't that guy do? So they're about less than 10 million away because they're at 150.8. So
Yeah.
the question is,
Can they make
can they get there, and how do they get there? And again, I don't think Nintendo cares. I think they'd be like, well, that'd be cool if it happens, but we're not
whatever.
going to do anything
Yeah.
to try and achieve that or go out of our way to achieve that. It'd be nice,
Right.
but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. But great milestone to hit.
Do you
Either
think
way.
they can do it?
Yes.
I put up a poll. Give me a moment while I pull this up and see what the result is. So, 81% of people said yes. They will.
Yes.
It will outsell
I also said
the
yes.
PS2. Yeah, I don't think it'll be like
It's not gonna be like
immediate,
right now.
and they might need
Yeah.
a price cut, and it might just barely pass it. But
They got time still. They
Yeah.
got transition still. That transition's gonna
Yeah.
take a little bit. I agree. I think it has a chance
yes,
to beat it.
Yes.
But wow, amazing.
Big
amazing
numbers.
milestone for
Big
Switch.
numbers.
Yes.
Summer Game Fest. It is not. It is not
Hooray!
summer now.
No, it's
It is
very
definitely
cold.
not
It's
summer now.
Extremely cold and
But we're
rainy.
getting a dose of sunshine in this very odd graphic.
I like this graphic.
Oh, you like this? I'm not so sure how. It could be very
bubbly.
Teletubby kind of
It looks like
vibes to
bubbles.
it. Bubbles.
Bubbles.
Summer Game Fest has confirmed some of the details for this year. On Friday, June 6th, will be the live stream,
Yes.
the big event where Jeff is up on stage, and he has already confirmed more than 40 leading game publishers. Is
Whoa.
Nintendo one of those? Probably not. That's happening in LA, and then, as he has in years past, he's having the Summer Game Fest Play Days,
Yeah.
which is the event that we have been to, and with any luck, we'll be back to that again this year.
Yeah.
But he's got something new up his sleeve, which he is calling a, quote, a new thought leader event in Los Angeles.
I just like this name.
Maybe could have thought up a more fun way to
Sounds like
describe
a
this.
LinkedIn seminar.
Yes, brought to you by LinkedIn.
I feel like it should be a little bit more fun than that.
Exactly.
I think that the point of it is that he's talking to like industry people
Right.
about the state of the industry. That's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. So
but-
this
yeah.
he has said that he's brought in Chris Dring, who's of GameIndustry.biz, to help with this. And it does sound like kind of meetings, kind of DICE-esque. We brought in the biggest minds in gaming to talk about this topic.
Panel type discussions.
I'm not sure we're going to this event. I'm not sure we necessarily want or need to go to this
I don't
event.
know
But it's like, I'm the head of digital sales at Take-Two, and I'm going to talk to you about something.
Yeah, about something
like
industry broad.
B2B.
Oh, B2B.
As they say. Bringing the B's together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not the bros.
No.
The businesses. Well, maybe they are those kinds. Is it business to bros? B2B?
Pack your best game shirt and your best blazer. Yeah. And I'll see you at the Thought Leader event.
Pick your pin of choice.
We're about five-ish months away from this.
How is the Switch going to launch in this time frame?
That's what I wonder. I mean, they know, if they're looking at a potential launch in June, they know all of the big things that tend to happen in June.
I think it's going to be after this, honestly.
Later in June. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
There was another big franchise from Xbox that is making the jump to other platforms. Forza Horizon 5 is coming to the PS5 this spring. Wow. It is going to be developed by Panic Button, which is the developer that did, I think I know them best. They did the Doom Switch ports, which were very capable
well done,
and very good. So that's kind of their expertise is porting. It's going to have the same content as on Xbox and PC. The expansions will be available for purchase, and the Horizon Realms free content update will be coming to all platforms. I admit I do not know what that means. What is Horizon Realms? I don't know.
I have no idea what that means either. Yeah, this is not a game that I play I've played it before.
Have you played the Horizons?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
But
I have 5 of these.
I have not played this one.
I played that. I mean, it's on Game Pass. People love this. This
is a great
series
series
and this game. So, it just seems like it's becoming more commonplace for these Xbox series to jump over. And it seems like every time it's kind of less and less of the hand wringing and the tooth gnashing. I mean, there's still a lot of big, like Gears, Halo, like those ones. Like there will still be that when
they have to have some exclusive. No. Never again.
I mean, there's all those rumors about Halo. I mean, at least the older compilations of Halo.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see them doing limited time, like year exclusive. Starfield will be the forever exclusive. You can keep Starfield. I mean, this just seems to be very clearly the strategy, and then they've been sharing. This is working very well for us.
Works well for them,
business wise.
Bringing in more people.
We're doing better. The numbers are going up. They seem to have fully embraced it.
Yeah.
It seems to be more of kind of a fan communication management kind of thing, but very very bold and. If it's working, it's working.
I agree that as more time goes by and more games become multi-platform, it's just not going to be a topic of conversation as much anymore.
Right.
Right now, it's always tied up in those like console wars kind of discussions, which can be a little bit annoying. But at the same time, they have some really storied Xbox franchises that will lose a little bit of like that specialness if it goes multi-platform. So they just have to balance that a little bit. Yeah.
And finally, the Pokemon trading card game Pocket trading feature just came out late last week, and they basically immediately issued this new statement committing that they will be working to update the feature to make it better.
Yeah.
I'll just read a few things from this. Since releasing the first iteration of the trading feature a few days ago, we have received a large number of comments. Thank you for sharing your feedback. That means you're mad. The item requirements and restrictions implemented were designed to prevent abuse from bots and other prohibited actions. The goal was to balance the game while maintaining a fair environment. However, thanks to your feedback, we understand that some of the restrictions are preventing players from casually enjoying the feature as intended. We are actively investigating ways to improve and address these concerns. And they're going to offer multiple ways to get trade tokens, including through event distributions.
So we had some firsthand experience with this because we were playing this game during the most recent Kit and Krysta 1UP Club meetup. It was actually really fun. We got a group of us together. We casually did some battles, and then if people wanted to trade, they can't. It was very restricted. You can basically only do like one trade, and yeah, so you're kind of shopping around like, okay, I really need this card. Do you have it? Do I have a card that you want? You kind of have to prearrange that, and we were on a big chat, so if you didn't have that kind of open communication, that might be really hard. Yeah. It's really restricted.
You need all these currencies. You need to burn cards.
You do. You burn so many cards.
You need to have like a lot of copies of cards to just basically discard.
Yeah.
To be able to do a single trade. So again, I just don't see why they need to make it. It's not like this is already a scaled down version of the trading card game. This is not like their digital version. It's like tournament level. Like this is already meant to be kind of a more fun and breezy, casual thing. So it's not like I was like, the pearl clutching about the balance of Pokemon trading. Like it's already a mess. The balance is out the window.
Yeah, there's people have
throw down your EX and win and hope for the coin flip.
Yeah,
I think the real reason is, a lot of people are probably now just coming at this to open cards and very slowly, fill out their collection. That's how I play this game. I haven't done a battle in a long time. So I think they don't want people to too quickly fill out the cards and put it down. Yeah. They need to find a way to artificially lengthen that. Mm-hmm. So if it's so easy to trade, it's like, well, I'll call my friend. I'm going to get online and I'll have these cards tomorrow and I'll be done.
Yeah.
And then I'm just not going to pick this app up. So maybe that's the kind of nefarious intent behind this.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they got to keep...
And they can put it under the guise of, the bots.
They also
bots bad.
Don't want you to fill your collection too fast because they want you to pay for stuff to be able to do
it. Open packs and all of that.
They want you to, they need tokens, stuff like that, to like, you have to pay for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be getting these cards for free and then basically like you said, like setting it down and not picking up the app again. So... not the best experience though. We had firsthand experience and it definitely was a little lackluster.
Yeah.
And thank goodness we had a very friendly group of people and we kind of all just hung out and chilled and chatted and stuff because the trading was like a minute and then we were done trading. So, because you can only trade like one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
More Machamp cards, please. That's my feedback. Thank you very much.
Did you get a Machamp card in that trade?
I did.
Good.
Yeah.
I got my long-awaited Venusaur.
These were cards that I already had, but I'm glad to just stockpile Machamp cards because that's what I like.
Did you have a Machamp EX to begin with?
I had all the Machamp cards, yeah.
You had them?
I got those through non-nefarious means.
Yes.
So, yeah. None of the, what do they call them? Restricted or abusive actions?
Abusive actions?
Yes. No, I didn't do any of those.
Yeah, you're not going to Pokemon jail. Good for you.
Wow, that's the news. Let's switch over to questions from our community. We get these all from our Patreon community. You can check us out at patreon.com/Kit and Krysta. First question is from Manjock. Actually, I'm gonna this is relevant to the story that you asked. So I want to bump this question up. Manjock will be back. Honey Crispy. In your last podcast, you mentioned bringing the Switch on a flight before it was released.
Oh, yes.
I was wondering, how do you get through TSA without others seeing, taking pictures, or anything else that would be undesirable?
Well, I didn't play it on the plane or anything like that. I remember...
though.
I did carry it on. I was just trying to think if I checked my bag. I did not.
That would not be allowed. To check that thing?
You can't check it.
No, you have to keep it on.
You need to keep it on your person.
Yeah.
The good thing was that the system had been announced. It had been revealed.
What we would always do is like once the item, the game or the system or whatever, what went out to media, like once they got it, like there was just kind of an understanding. It's like, all right,
we're loosening the.
We're in a new phase of this. These are out there. Like we can't watch over what these people are going to do with this every moment.
Yeah.
It's like we're going to kind of loosen up a little bit. And there was just kind of an understanding of like, somebody might have this out in the wild, especially since this is a handheld system.
Right.
We should just be prepared for this kind of thing.
And also, it wasn't like, no one's ever seen this in person before. Like we've shown it at events, we've shown it at this was like post-January, right? So it wasn't that bad. I was still very careful with it.
Right.
I wasn't like playing this thing on the plane before it launched. I do think I had to take it out of my bag and like put it in the bin for TSA, but nobody thought much of it. I wasn't like, oh no,
Yeah.
I'm getting pulled over by TSA to do whatever. But yeah, it wasn't too bad, but I was still very careful with it. And yes, you're not allowed to check your bag. You're supposed to carry it on your person
Right.
the whole time.
There are times where, for like an E3, like they do have something that's not announced or known to the public that they need to get over.
Yeah.
They're not shipping that.
No.
That's
the job of the product carrier.
But think the E3 where they had the first amiibo. Like how did those and nobody had seen the amiibo before. Like nobody even knew what an amiibo.
Private jet.
Like how did they
They didn't have a private
do
jet.
that? That's a whole other level of this, where there's all these sorts of logistics and arrangements that happen. So again, I've mentioned this before. When I worked at Konami for Kojima Productions, there was a guy. His name is Ryan Payton now. Now he runs the studio that made that awesome Batman VR game.
Yeah.
He was tapped to, when they had the Gold Master version of the game, get on a plane, have the disc on him, fly it here to San Francisco, drop it to Sony, and get back to the airport in time to get the flight back to Japan.
Yeah.
Brutal.
That was his only job.
No, I mean, he had a lot of other jobs, but like
that day,
he was the guy. Yeah, he was the guy who was like, "This is what you're doing to keep it safe, to keep it secure." And
I had to do that for the Smash trailer for TGA's.
Oh man, well, you were flying to LA for an hour. Big deal.
I had to
deal.
I had to personally hand deliver it to
On
Jeff
your
Keighley.
person?
I did have it in my person. I was very careful with it. It was the unannounced Joker trailer that I carried with me, hand carried with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please do not steal, drop, or delete
You
this.
do that thing where you like tie it to your tooth and it's like down your stomach or something, and you're like, "Here you go, Jeff Keighley."
Ew!
And it's in like a Ziploc bag.
No, it's so gross.
here's the thumb drive with the trailer.
Oh,
This is what the company needs and demands
I'm like
from you.
coughing up a hairball, but it's like the flash
Joker
drive
trailer.
with a Joker trailer in it.
Oh god.
It was an encrypted drive too. I had to give him the encryption keys.
Wonderful.
For it.
Great.
Wow.
Okay. All right, Manjock. Manjock is waiting patiently. Why does Nintendo not want Doug Bowser to be like Reggie in terms of public presence? I feel like I barely hear from him.
You heard from him today.
Posting this plain screenshot of a sales number.
Doug, seriously, are you okay?
So we said, Doug Bowser is a wonderful person.
Sweet. I love
very
Doug.
sweet, so smart, so personable, so funny.
Yes.
Great personality, great to hang out
Dresses really nice.
Dresses really well.
To the teeth.
So that's why we always feel a bit sad that like
no one got the chance
these
to know
questions
him.
are out there of like, who the heck is Doug Bowser? Like Doug Bowser is an awesome guy.
Yeah.
But the world,
may never know.
Doesn't get to know that about him.
Yeah. I think Nintendo is a little bit scared, honestly, to have another Reggie type personality. I mean, Reggie's such a big personality, and for a very long time, Reggie was the face of Nintendo. Not just Nintendo of America, like of Nintendo, and especially when it was the Reggie and Mr. Iwata, buddy comedy, buddy show. Like, those two were like the faces of the company. And there is a risk, when there is a actual human associated with your brand. I mean, sadly, Mr. Iwata passed, and when Reggie retired, there was a huge, both of those instances caused like such huge turmoil within the company itself, and just even outside the company too. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, like, end of an era. Nintendo is totally changing because of these two people leaving us. I don't think they want that again. They're really scared of that, actually. So, yeah, I think that's the reason why we haven't really heard from Doug Bowser. And even when we were at Nintendo and we wanted to, have Doug Bowser come on Nintendo Minute or have Doug Bowser come on the Nintendo Power podcast, the answer was always no. Doug Bowser is not to be a public figure. Yeah, which is really unfortunate because Doug Bowser is really cool and it would be great for people to get to know him. But I don't think that's in the cards.
Yeah, there were some things with Reggie that I think, the folks in Japan really didn't like. Like, remember there was a big movement to get Reggie in Smash Brothers. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I think he would occasionally like get asked about that and joke and be like, well, you never know, instead of like, I think they would want him to say like, absolutely not, and never ask me, like, it is not my place to be in a Smash Brothers game. He would kind of like egg them on a little bit in a fun, like not in
a funny way.
Not in like inappropriate way, but it's just in kind of like a fun way.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of thing like really just
rubbed
like,
them the wrong way.
You're getting bigger
than the game itself.
Than the company, than the game that we're here to try and sell, and that's concerning to them.
Very concerning.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very focused on like let the games speak for themselves, and putting people out there was like the opposite of that. That's why they were really even careful with like Treehouse Live. Remember that? Like they would switch out those hosts all the time because they were like, nobody can be associated with this. We have to keep switching these people out, and they were so strict with them. And yeah, there was just a lot that they didn't want to associate, one person or people with the Nintendo brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, we have Tinman. I know you've spoken about how displeased Nintendo was with the Bowsette fad, but what was the general feeling about fan art or animations using Nintendo characters? Was there ever a discussion about engaging with fan artists for a promotional or social media campaign, or did the opposite ever happen, with Nintendo leadership looking for ways to control or remove fan art or animations featuring their IP? Thank you.
Yeah, this was pretty bad.
So there was just a very distinct moment, which I remember well. I think this was like one of the last meetings we had in person before the pandemic. Yeah. I think this was in Redmond in like very early 2020. And it was one of these like multi-day, all-day meetings. And the Japan team was like, all right, we have a topic to discuss. It's, IP usage guidelines for the future. And they just outlined these very restrictive, very different. He's like, these are the rules going forward. And he's like, we can't do this. We're not going to do this. And it's like, oh, well, this is a complete 180 in a lot of senses of things that we were okay to do, and had a lot of positive reception around doing these things that for whatever reason, like, we're just not gonna. And like, we would ask the follow-up questions of like, why are we doing this? Like, who's the driving force? Like, can we talk to somebody more about this? It was like, no, this is just it. And
discussion closed.
And we're implementing this now, so make sure you do this.
You follow these rules.
Oh.
And it was beyond fan art too. It was like you can never take a picture of somebody in cosplay at a convention.
It was all encompassing.
Yeah, and then we did try really hard to get around this a little bit. And we did make a little bit of headway. Like for Nintendo Inspired, I remember we did have some like fun content of like that was around having somebody draw Nintendo characters. But we ran into this like ridiculous comment where they were like, this person drew the Nintendo character so well that it is now being confused with official Nintendo artwork.
Right.
Therefore, this is not approved. I was like, but what if I just write fan art by?
Yeah.
Like really large on this piece.
Yeah.
They're like, no.
Yeah, and they were extremely rigid in their evaluation.
They called it derivative works
of these guidelines,
and it made me mad.
Because in the past we had done like on Nintendo Minute, we did this big ARMS art contest.
That was fun.
We did a whole thing around that. Got these amazing submissions, showed them off, and like other departments were doing the same.
Yeah.
And it was just like door slammed in your face.
It happened to NOE too. Remember, we tried to join forces with NOE to battle this, and they were like, no.
And I remember like we also would talk like with the design team, like we don't understand where this is coming from, like. The rule, like beyond these like 3 bullets in a PowerPoint, like I need to know the full parameters, the full details, and they would try to get.
It wasn't from the design team.
Right, it's like this is the team that deals with this stuff, and they're like, yeah, we can't get.
Forget it.
It was such a mess.
It was such a mess, and we fought it for a while, and then we got tired.
And then we left.
And then we stopped fighting it, and then we left. This is the kind of thing that really would exhaust us, though, because we would just there would be no good reason that we could see as to why you would need to do this. Yeah. And it was strange and odd.
Right, and it's like, if this is this big initiative, then have somebody come and like answer questions, talk to us about it. It was like, they were kind of like oh, we don't want to talk about it anymore. It's like, it is what it is. Don't ask questions.
It was you're banging your head against a wall.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I apologize for having a simple question to clarify
and then we get
some
mad.
of these details.
Then we get all mad at us and like ask a simple question. Like, well, you're not really providing good background. They're like, well, you can't ask. Okay.
That's a bad question.
Then we stopped.
And you're a bad person.
Yeah. Then we left.
Yeah. Last question is from Sam Sweetmilk. I've heard about Kanye West reaching out to Nintendo about making a game about his late mother. That's such a wild thing to imagine happening at Nintendo. Can you share how that even came about? How did the conversation start, and what was his pitch like? What was the reaction inside Nintendo? Were either of you involved in setting up the meeting or hearing about it firsthand? Obviously, this was never going to happen, but do weird pitches like this come up more often than people realize? Are there other strange or unexpected meetings that just never get talked about? Would love to hear any behind-the-scenes stories.
Yes, Kanye West.
So yeah, this was in the I forget what year this was, but this was in the era of E3 where Nintendo had a celebrity agency, and one of the things that they would do around E3 was find out who wanted to go to E3 and arrange for them to like come in the back door and get a VIP tour of the booth. And one year, maybe a couple years, Kanye West was one of the people who was there and came. And we didn't know this. We heard this like secondhand, a number of degrees removed. But yeah, that he had arranged a dinner one night with several, higher up people at Nintendo. There's articles about this. Like if you want other detail, I think there's an article from IGN of Mr. Miyamoto kind of recounting his experience with
Kanye West
as well. Yeah. But yeah, like he pitched Nintendo to try and make a game, and I think there was an immediate recognition that like this is not the right team up to get this done. And I believe Reggie was at this, and I think I'd heard that he very like tactfully tried to suggest like maybe you should consider a different
team
partner.
Yeah.
He's like, you're very demanding as an artist. We're very demanding as a business partner. So why don't you go somewhere else?
Not gonna work.
But it's just, but yeah, they apparently like he gave this pitch of this idea, a game idea that he had that was about his late mother, and I think this game eventually came out as a mobile game.
Yeah.
But yeah, file this away is one of just the weird. The weird things that people would have to do. Go to dinner with Kanye West during an E3.
Yeah, we did see him in our booth. I remember him sitting on one of the VIP areas looking very sour.
Oh.
I was like, oh, he's not happy about something. Or maybe that's just his face. I feel like celebrities approach Nintendo all the time with pitches. We've gotten multiple pitches from celebrities like along the way. I think that is always like something people are thinking, especially celebrities that Nintendo works with.
Because if you don't know like the inner workings of the industry super inside now, it's like, well, I have an idea for a game. Who are we going to talk to? Oh, Nintendo.
Yeah,
I'll talk to them.
Talk to them. They'll do it. The other thing that's really interesting about pitches is that we would often get in the mail game pitches from not from celebrities, but from like random people. Yeah. And the legal guideline for that is to just throw it away without opening it. Yeah. Because you are actually, if you open it and read it,
you get in trouble.
You can get in trouble because if Nintendo does end up making...
Oh, you took my idea.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I think that's just kind of like a common practice at a lot of kind of creatively driven companies. It's like all the ideas are coming from the inside.
So when the mail comes and you see something that says like, if you read it, it's like, I have a pitch, you immediately put it in the shredder.
Toss it out.
Yeah, I've gotten a few of those envelopes before that I've put in the shredder. Don't know what the ideas are.
But yeah, we heard that story secondhand a couple times. It's like, wow, what must that have been like?
Awful.
And thank goodness Reggie was there to kind of navigate the strangeness of that.
That would have been weird...
He's the perfect person
to do it.
Because I think our old boss was also there.
He wouldn't have been able to do it.
No, our other boss.
Oh, she wouldn't have been able to do it either.
Reggie is really like the only person who's fit to navigate those conversations. Like Kanye has a strong personality. Right.
And I think it would have been a very awkward dinner if it was not tactfully handled,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Those are the questions. Thank you very much. And don't forget to subscribe at patreon.com/KitandKrysta, where for just a couple dollars a month, you can get early access to this podcast and a lot of other things. All this exclusive content, including our new gameplay videos, spoiler cast, bonus Q&As. Wow. And best of all, join our wonderful community.
Yes. It's been going really well. So many new friends have joined. It's been an exciting place in the Kit and Krysta community. We're also on social. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky, and Threads.
And if you're watching this on video, you can go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, give this video a thumbs up, and leave us a comment. And if you're listening on audio, you can also subscribe, give the podcast a 5-star rating, and leave a written review if you please. We're talking about algorithms earlier.
Yes.
This is how you feed the algorithms of
Help
all
us
these things
feed
that we're on.
The hungry algorithm,
Yes.
please. All right, let's shout out some wonderful Patreon community members, starting with our final
Let's do it.
boss, Aaron Hash.
There he is.
Aaron Hash let us know that he has passed his 1-year anniversary of being
That's
our
true.
final boss. He's very excited
He's a boss
about.
with longevity.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's one of the best bosses I think we've ever had. So there you go. Superstars, Ben Eichhorn,
Maru Mayhem.
Eigenverse,
Kiss My Flapjack.
Mike Shin,
Roy Eschke.
Switching It Up _
VGM Life.
Link, the hero of wins,
Angela Bycroft.
Thomas O'Rourke,
Kyle LaBeouf.
Roberto Nieves,
Frederick Ulf Conradson.
Andrew Uhas,
Chili.
Simon,
Krashuri.
Master Discord,
Ash.
Ajay Kunlas,
40 Gig.
Travis Torline,
Echo Ladare.
and our newest superstar, That's So Linnell. Woo!
Welcome, Linnell.
Linnell,
Longtime
yeah.
community member. Made the jump to the superstars.
Wow.
Wonderful to see. Love to see it.
Exciting stuff. Okay, One Up Club. Aaron Burgundy,
Ale Alejandro.
Aristu,
Astrodev.
Awesome 46,
Axel.
Bates,
Benji B.
Big End Gamer with a Y,
Brandon Kavapel.
Brent Dennison,
Brovac Novak.
Bruce Dash,
Bucky Flores.
Cameron,
Chadir.
Chelly Squirrel,
Crispy Saurus.
Chris Galvin,
Christopher Lay.
Captain Alex,
C Roper 17.
Dallas E,
Daniel Phillips.
Dachshund,
Debbie P.
Doingo,
Dre.
Dude Dad Life _ Trilic,
Eccentric Tony.
Elite Peach,
Espars 50.
Furbound,
Fernie and Jess Forever.
Fox the Ploy,
Funky Han.
Garth the Wolf,
Gartooth.
Guilty Phoenix 42,
Handheld Gamer.
Happy Sloth,
I may have made a mistake.
Iris Marin,
Jay Rando.
Jack Hoving,
Jameson Eisenberg.
Joe Encarnacion,
Jonathan Rowe.
Jordan Hemmerly,
Joshua Clements.
Juji Fruit,
Justin Lemminger.
J Wolf,
Callan CPU 57.
Kawa 2796,
Keith Kwan.
Kevin Delane,
Kilo Kibo.
Christopia Party with Me,
Kyle Gamer Berry Rookie.
Kyle 325,
Kyle Kretzer.
Kyle R. Smith,
Lazy Cat for Coffee.
oh no, Levy Yahoo,
Lex.
Link 9898,
Lil Mikey.
Linko,
Light Latte.
Lit,
Lucas Pico.
Luigi 53,
Luna B.
Lynn,
Macho Potato.
Mad Dog 5981,
Magnificent Easy G and Callie Marie.
Mario Man 392,
Mark S.
Marky Man 64,
Maverick Nate.
Mecha Dragon 101,
Megan.
May plus Leon,
Michael Mazer.
Michael Wong,
Mikey.
Mr. Ryan 07,
Motomania.
Mr. Andy Pond,
Mr. Beansenden.
MSN Poke Gamer,
My Tran.
Nami,
Nasir.
Naif E,
Ninja 11.
Noah-san,
Baggy.
Patrice Millette,
Paul.
Paul Gill Network,
Prime Factor.
Prince Charmless,
Funky.
Rain Tech,
R. Burns.
Record Rumble,
Ryuji Utsuhu Okou.
Rob M,
Rob O.
Romsky 113,
Rocks.
Ryan Haas,
Ryanetta.
Sharif Jackson,
Shinryu.
Schmills,
Slow Bro.
Schnazzle,
Spacey Poo.
Spicy Munchkin,
Starman DX.
Steel Citrone,
Pseudo Priest.
Tales of Link,
Tandem.
Tay 120 and 64,
Teal Fox 64.
The Cakers,
The Quiet One.
The Shark Among Men,
Thomas Alvarez.
Three Rivers,
Torcheeks.
Totally Joette,
Trajawi.
Trev Tendo 88,
Tugs Puppy Bear.
Tuscoop,
Tyler Geis.
Uncle Jungle,
Victor MK.
Video Game Stupid,
Vijmictor.
Viridian,
Virtual Bot.
WG Grizzy,
YU.
Wicked Davy,
Zelgaroth.
Zapatty,
Zero Link.
it's right.
So many new names.
Yeah.
Which is where you can get in the danger zone.
I'm in the danger zone already.
These.
There's a new person that I can say in a funny way.
Who?
Where is it? I'm trying to look
Who
for it now.
is it?
We did also confirm that Schnazzle is okay
Correct.
with us saying his name
Yes.
Schnazzle every time.
Got
So
the
that's
the
exciting.
blessing.
We got the blessing. I can't find this person
All right,
anymore.
next week.
Next week. Exciting stuff.
Wow, big
What
episode, great episode.
A podcast. So fun to look back on, just an amazing couple weeks spent getting the osmosis from the people behind Nintendo Switch, and
That's right.
probably the people behind Nintendo Switch too. We shall see.
Still
but
there.
I think he's still there, and I think he's probably working hard and eating a Starburst. Anyhow, we are going to wrap it up now. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.